sorry. Messed that up. Hold on a second. I'll get this right. Welcome on in to another episode of DCU Daily on Oh So Curious. You guys caught me off guard there for a little second. We had a bit of a last minute technical glitch and I was trying to fix that. Turns out once you let the horses out the door or the gates, I think.
Surprise, you're live.
There's no stopping them. There's no stopping them. So here we are. I know a bunch of you guys are already in the chat. So hello to everybody in the chat. We will get into all of it. Apparently there's a point system that YouTube has introduced that I'm only just hearing of. But hey, we're here to talk about DC. We're here to talk about Marvel. We have got some Daredevil stuff to get into. Apparently it was one of the least, if not the least, watched TV show from Marvel and Disney Plus history. And there's some pretty insane comparison in terms of like other shows that have done better than it. Anyway, well, we will get into that. Of course, we have to talk about the Chris Hemsworth statement about sort of like the legacy of Thor. What does he mean? Usually when people talk about legacies, it's because they're putting something behind them. So is Thor not long for this cinematic universe? We will get into that. Of course, on the DC side of things, we have to talk about Superman. We'll talk about Superman, then we'll talk about more Superman, then we'll talk about some more Superman, then we'll just talk about a little more Superman, and then some more Superman after that, and then some more after that. We'll have a lot of Superman, like from China to the Runtime to San Diego Comic-Con to potential merchandise spoilers. The title already spoiled it for you, so I'm whatever. Like, just deal with it. It's fine. And it's not our fault. Okay, we didn't put it out on the internet. We're just trying to talk about it. Of course, you saw Lizz pop in there with my gaff there earlier, so Lizz is on the show today. John is back on his mission. Speaking of mission, we'll talk about Mission Impossible and Lilo and Stitch. We have some first reactions, in fact reviews for Karate Kid Legends, and not all of them are very kind, so we have to talk about that and so much more. And to do it, and as always, get into the quick hits and the news. We're gonna hit that news intro and get things started.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding. You're kidding.
I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chords.
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
The music is still playing because I forgot to turn that off. Wow, I'm doing a John today. That's all right. John is not here, so somebody's got to step in. And the biggest news of all, of course, today, Caleb is back. I'm back, baby, he says. Well, so are we. And it's not just me today, of course. You can hear her. So I do have to bring Lizz in because, of course, Lizz, it's going to be a fun show. You're doing this, and then you're hopping in the car, and then you're hopping on a plane, and then you're gonna go see Lilo and Stitch. So it's gonna be a packed week for you, but we have a packed show today. How are you doing? And I guess if you want to tell us, what are you most looking forward to talking about?
Funko done screwed up, but it's not the first time, according to Dan. So what are you gonna do? But I'm still buying the figures, so that don't matter. But yeah, that's about it. Yep, but getting on a plane later. Haven't slept. Been up since like 8 a.m. So I'm gonna be real tired tomorrow, but it's fine. Hi everybody.
All good. I just wanted to give you your moment. You gotta get it all out in one go because we have a lot to talk about, and Lilo and Stitch is part of that. But where we start things off, because as it says in your name, Elizabeth Marvel, we're going to talk about Marvel right off the top, and we have some DC stuff coming in after that. So the first thing we're going to dive into is, Daredevil Born Again. They just put out Basically Nielsen ratings came out for the show, and you might be wondering, Daredevil Born Again hasn't been on the air in quite some time. Like it finished its run at this point, what was like a month or 2 months ago, maybe something like that. So it's been a while. It's not like it was last week. Like Andor
And
did its
I
thing.
can't even blame John for not watching. I can't put it on John.
But as this article says, this is I believe this is the direct, and they kind of like put the information together, and the Nielsen ratings, the top 10 original streaming shows, we know, because you talked about it before, Daredevil never cracked the top 10 of the while it was on air. Now we have the actual minutes watched, and you look at these minutes. I mean, on their own they look impressive. 465 million minutes, that's quite a few minutes. You divide that up by, I don't know, like 60 minutes, like however many hours that is. That's a good amount of people watching it, obviously, right? And you could see that the episode 7, for example, had a big bump after the double episode 5 and 6, and there was like a cliffhanger, and they pay off and all that. Although what's kind of hard to believe is the second least watch episode was the finale of the season, which is kind of ridiculous.
Wild.
I don't get it. It's
people just were like,
and the second highest watch episode was like the 2 episode premiere. But aside from just these numbers alone, which Liz, I'll ask you about that in a second, I did want to provide some context, right? Because around the time the show was airing, you had like the White Lotus airing, and you, just for context, like 1,923 million minutes, as opposed to like in the 400 million minutes for.
No, I think that's the show 1923.
Oh, you're talking about 1920. Sorry, my bad. But you have 1923 was a fun show. 1923, The White Lotus, The Resident, Bluey.
Let's just insult to injury. Let's just throw in Bluey's numbers.
Daredevil lost to Bluey. I'm sorry, guys. Not only that, I mean, look, here's the company that it keeps. Secret Invasion's the only other Marvel show that hasn't cracked the top 10 in the Nielsen ratings while it aired. Secret Invasion, where they had an AI-assisted intro that everybody was like, what are you doing? Especially coming off a whole strike that was all about AI. But guess what, Liz? You know what? The only other shows that, because there's only 2 live-action shows that have not been in the top 10 while they air. Secret Invasion and Daredevil Born Again. The only other shows that from Marvel has made for Disney Plus that didn't make the top 10 while they aired were all the animated things, which makes sense because they're more niche. You know what that also means, though? This article kind of points it out. Echo. Remember Echo? Do you remember Echo? Because I don't remember Echo.
I never even watched it.
I forgot about Echo. But then I was looking at these.
Never even saw it.
Like I was looking at these numbers and I saw the ratings. Echo cracked the top 10. And Daredevil Born Again did not.
It's wild because I watched all of Daredevil, never saw a minute of Echo. So that's just wild. That's amazing. That's wild. I don't know, man.
God. So I mean, Liz, just tell me, just straight up, as a big fan of Marvel, you watch the show, obviously. Yep. I know, like John is not here.
Surprised. No, I'm not surprised. But I'm disappointed, of course, but not surprised.
I guess my question to you is simple. Like, they're working on a second season of the show, which is meant to be like another 9 episodes. But we know when they originally announced it was meant to be 18 episodes. So technically, this feels like this is meant to be like this second season was always going to happen because all they did was split that 18 episode run into 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Meaning that second season isn't being made on merit. It's being made because they're already committed to it.
That was already the plan. Yeah.
Like, did we all just, I mean, overestimate the popularity of Daredevil on Netflix or in general? It couldn't beat Echo for viewership.
No, I think they hyped themselves up because this was one of the first shows that originated on Netflix that came to Disney Plus. So I think that was what the expectation was. They're going to capture all of the same audience that loved the show on Netflix. They're going to come here. They're going to want to see the next iteration. They're going to want to see what happens. But unfortunately, word of mouth spreading is like wildfire. People said the show was a dud. So a lot of people said, all right, I'll skip it. I don't need to waste my time. And that's exactly what happened. It's a shame. Again, could the show have been better? Absolutely. And I'm hoping they learn from their mistakes on season 2, but we'll see what happens. I really don't know, but I don't, if they don't clean it up, if they don't do a better job of kind of making more of a succinct story and making stuff make sense. And again, they had that one entire episode that was a completely out of left field compared to the rest of the season. So if they don't correct those kinds of mistakes, I don't see them coming back for a season 3, not at all, because these numbers right here tell you all you need to know. So it's disappointing, not surprising, but disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, Nelson saying hello. By the way, hello to Nelson in the chat. Hello, Caleb. Hello, Monique. Hello to Enterprising.
Enterprising, you knocked me from the number 2 spot, man.
Just some geeky guys here. I totally didn't even see you. What's with the crowns? You know what? Just some geeky guy. Liz told me right before we went live, so I don't know what's with the crowns.
All I know is I've got 75 XP now, so let's keep it rolling. I don't know.
If you guys are familiar with how Twitch works, I think Twitch has had something like this for a long time. I during one of my day jobs, like I do a lot of work with Twitch, and they have this kind of like ranking system. So believe me when I tell you, I did not like check a box before today's show, which created the ranking system. So it's there. So I guess it's here now. Monique is number 1 right now. Enterprising is at 2, and Liz is at 3. So
knocked me out of my spot, Enterprising.
You know what? You can click the crown, then the eye with the circle. Wait, I don't know what does that mean? Oh, okay. Well, you know what, guys? If you wanna, I guess, climb up the rankings, then make
just
sure
some
to.
guy, you're in 5th place. Nelson, you're in 4th.
You guys gotta hit the like button. I bet that's gonna help. Question mark. Oh, I see what you mean, Monique. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean. You'll read up on this another time.
We get crowns, gang. So, gotta get in on this action.
Well, Liz, I just again, surprise. I mean, not entirely because some of this was evident when the show was airing that it's not. I mean, it's great that it has a very passionate audience, but does that translate to the kind of performance numbers? Because it wasn't in the top 10 while it was airing. Now we have the final numbers. It didn't crack the top 10.
Well, and again, like I said, they were banking on the Netflix audience coming over to Disney Plus. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Netflix audience was saying, I don't think it's going to work. They're not going to be able to capture the same magic. They're not going to be able to get away with the same things on Disney Plus, which wasn't true at all. But I think that's a big part of it. They were like, it's been years. What are they going to do? A lot of people also don't like this iteration of Daredevil, from what I understand from people who've actually read the comic. They're not a huge fan of this storyline. So it's a bummer. They had a lot of things against them, and unfortunately, they didn't course correct in time and fix the issues with the show. So again, I'm hoping for the season 2, but if they don't learn from their mistakes, what are you gonna do?
Well, I guess, Liz, then the last question on this topic before we move on, because we do have some other Marvel news to get into.
Yeah.
I mentioned they're working on a 2nd season. They've already been filming it. It's meant to come out in March of next year. We have a Punisher special presentation that I'm guessing comes out probably before the 2nd season, unless it's meant to be like a sequel to the 2nd season of Daredevil Born Again. But we'll figure that out when the time comes. But nonetheless, there is a season 2. There's a season 2, but we talked about how it pretty much is what was meant to be part of season 1 in the first place, except they just split it in half, and now they're doing 2 9-episode seasons. So season 2 was kind of guaranteed simply because they were already budgeting and had done all the work for 18 episodes worth. It's just it originally was meant to be all 1 season. Now it's going to be 2 seasons. But given how bad the viewership numbers are, I don't know like if it brought a ton of new like subscribers to Disney Plus either. So do you think, Liz, if these numbers kind of continue in a similar trend, not to mention, if you just go back to the list real quickly, right? Like, again, we talked about it at the very beginning of this conversation. The second least watch episode was the finale, like, which leads you to wonder, like, what happened to the people that did just like, I've had my fill, and then after episode 7 or 8 just decided ain't coming back for the last episode. And then if you put this on a chart, it's like it's up and down, and then like there's obviously a big dip at the end. There's a big dip in the middle where they had episodes 5 and 6, which were pretty consequential episodes. Do you think if these are the kind of numbers that the show does in season 2 next year, that Marvel's just gonna be like, well, we tried it, it was, it didn't quite work out, and that's it? Like, do you think it gets to season 3?
No, I don't expect there will be a season 3. Absolutely not. I think they have so many other projects that are upcoming and that are ongoing that they're not gonna waste their time. They really won't, because they're used to making hits, they're used to generating numbers, they're used to pulling in a nice big bag, and at some point they're gonna realize like they need to cut bait and just let it go. So like I said, I hope they course correct. I hope they fix the issues that they had in season 1 to round off season 2 and bring it home nicely the way they were hoping, and to draw in the audiences that they were expecting. But if they don't, word of mouth is a big deal, especially when it comes to streaming shows. I mean, you live or die by the audience recommendations, So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I guess we'll have to just wait and see. Yeah, and Nelson's saying the numbers are trash. There are like, look, on its own, 400 some odd million minutes is not bad at all. But then some of those other shows we were mentioning, like that they mentioned in this article, for example, 1923, you had The White Lotus, The Resident, Bluey. They all had over 1 billion minutes, meaning like over twice as much as Daredevil was averaging. And depending on certain weeks, maybe even 3 times as much. So. And again, the company had keeps Secret Invasion's the only other show to pull this kind of numbers. And then when you look at it, Echo did better. Like, come on now, Echo did
Which
better
again,
numbers.
I didn't even see Echo.
So,
they didn't advertise Echo worth a damn. So the fact that somehow audiences were still drawn to that show at a higher rate, whereas they were marketing the crap out of Daredevil. Charlie was everywhere, Vincent was everywhere, they were everywhere together, and that's just they dropped the ball hard on this show. I can admit it. It's a shame.
yeah. Yep. No, absolutely. By the way, we do have Jalen in the chat. Jalen's here, and Man of Steel Magnolias is here as well. To answer Nelson's question real quick, Armor Wars is still somewhere in development hell. We don't know.
Nobody wants it. We're not getting it. We're not getting it.
We have been told that it might be shelved, like Marvel was thinking about it, but then like there've been some conflicting reports. They may yet keep it around. Who knows? It went from being a show to being a movie. I don't know. Maybe if it's still going to be a show, whatever. That we don't know where it is, other than the fact that it's in development hell. So we'll leave it at that. But Liz, we do have to talk about the Thor news, so let's get into that real quick. Chris Hemsworth issued a new statement. There's been rumors going around that he might be looking to retire from acting as a whole, meaning that not just Thor but everything, or at least really roll back the amount of work that he's going to be doing. And I think it had something to do with like he had like some tests done a while ago, and he's found some medical history of I forget what disease it was, but like he's basically thinking I don't want to put myself at risk of getting whatever disease or that runs in his family, and then he wants to spend the time with his family. He wants to spend time with his kids, with his wife, and then
I mean, he's got like 4 kids, so it's it's not. Oh my God, Jalen, you knocked me out of the top 3 completely. Oh my God, I can't take it. I mean, again, he has 4 kids. He's got he and his wife are living it up, trying to enjoy their time in Australia with their family. So I don't blame him at all. He's done a lot. He certainly has the cachet on all the royalties and everything like that, and he's good, and good for him. So we'll see what happens, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe these the last couple of Doom and the Avengers film, that could be his swan song. It could be it for him, and good for him.
It's
Jalen, you're only in the 2nd spot. Don't get too cocky.
It's the people in the chat will explain the crowns. Trust me, trust us. We are as confused as you are, so we're all catching up. But I mean, basically, what Chris Hemsworth did today was he put out this statement, sort of reminiscing on the legacy of Thor. I guess he was just feeling, he
was in his feelings,
kind of
sure.
a mood. He was in his feelings, as you said, and I'll actually put the statement up. Give me 1 second. I think I have the statement. So here we go. And again, he's doing it sort of in appreciation and gratitude, sort of looking back at his experience playing Thor. There's rumors going around that he may be done playing Thor sooner than later, considering he's had 4 movies and all the Avengers movies he's been a part of. I mean, his character arc is more than complete at this point if you go off of where he started to where he is now. But this is what he had to say. And this was kind of, it was part of a video. He put out a video which had all these like big, iconic and heartfelt moments from his role as Thor, and then he added some of his own comments next to it, which said, "Playing Thor has been one of the greatest honors of my life. For the last 15 years, I've held Mjolnir and then Stormbreaker as the god of thunder. But what made it truly special was sharing it with all of you. Your passion, your cheers, and your love for this character have meant everything to me. Thank you for making my journey through the Marvel Cinematic Universe unforgettable. Next up, Doomsday." So he doesn't finish by saying, see y'all later. It was a fun time and goodbye. But I mean, he is filming Doomsday and presumably Secret Wars because they're both filming back to back, Liz. But does this lead you to believe that he's waxing rhapsodic about his experience because he's about to be maybe on set for the last time playing Thor? Or I don't know, like, people don't talk about this for no reason unless maybe something hit him real close to the heart. You tell me, what do you think is going on here?
I mean, unfortunately, Caleb in the chat is saying Thor might have the Iron Man send-off in Secret Wars, which is not what I hope happens, but it's a good possibility. I hope not. I hope this isn't a spoiler for everybody, Chris, but at the very least, maybe we just, Thor goes back to, Asgard, and Asgard's gone now, but you know what I mean, new Asgard, and just lives out his years. And I'm really not sure, but it's definitely sounding like Chris has done with the character. He's moved on. Like you said, he's in the process of wrapping up his acting career entirely. So we'll see what happens. I you really don't know, but I love the man and appreciate him as Thor. Glad he stuck with the franchise for so long, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. By the way, Nelson, we are fans of both. There's no allegiances here. Although Liz tends to lean more Marvel than DC. I'm kind of like in the middle.
Superman is my favorite superhero of all time.
There you go. So there you go. I mean, and John tends to lean more DC these days because he's tired of Marvel. But I digress. But as far as Thor goes, and in Chris Hemsworth's time,
Daredevil failed. It's his fault.
Like, here's the thing. Like, he's played Thor, like I said, in 4 of his own movies. He's played him in, like, 4 Avengers movies at this point. I feel like once he meets up with Loki again and has that cathartic moment, he's not the king of Asgard anymore. He gave that up in the last movie. So I just don't know where else you take his character. I mean, he could play it till he's 90. I mean, he could always be the one OG Avenger that's always around. We know that Hawkeye might still be around despite all the contract issues potentially that Jeremy Renner has recently talked about. We know he's not necessarily going away anytime soon. And also then we have Loki, I guess Tom Hiddleston, at least, and as long as we have him, and he's been there since the beginning. We have Steven Ortega in the chat. But yeah, I mean, if this was the last time, if he was about to step on set for the last time to play Thor in the MCU, then he's had quite the tenure, and then we hope that he will swing by and do his own version of Doomsday eventually. But until then, Chris Hemsworth, I mean, as far as we know right now, he said next up Doomsday, so that's where we'll see him next time. Let us know in the comments down below, guys, what you think about Chris Hemsworth's statement. Is he just looking back at his time simply because
so long and thanks
something
for all
happened and that made him kind of look back in gratitude at the opportunity to play this character for as long as he has? Or do you think it's because he's getting ready to say goodbye to the MCU as Thor? Let us know in the comments. But speaking of Avengers, Liz, we do have another article here that I wanted to. This is like the last Marvel topic for now. We'll then we'll get into quick hits later. But WandaVision, the spinoff, they're talking about here, Vision Quest. That's the next show that's connected to WandaVision. That's currently filming, and there's a report out now that they're potentially adding one of the voice actors from like the one of the many AI voices that we have had over the years for Tony Stark. One of them, Friday, which replaced Jarvis, which of course ended up becoming Vision, and we had he's going to be the core of the show. But of course, the voice of Friday, which was Carrie Condon, who you will be seeing in the F1 movie. And the last trailer they put out for that, I was like, Carrie Condon, Brad Pitt, I buy the chemistry. Like, that trailer was entirely based on that chemistry. That was the central focus, and I'm there for it. So but with that in mind, I mean, they're saying that we might be getting like Carrie Condon in the flesh. Like, and I'm sorry, like that probably sounded wrong, but like she's not gonna be just the voice of Friday. We're gonna get like her character physically in the show, and not only that, they might even bring in what was the other one? Eden, wasn't it? Like was it Eden or was it from? I think it was she did. Am I thinking of the wrong one? And Spider-Man No Way Home. So there was Jarvis, there was Friday, and then there was another voice, and then I forget who plays her, but anyway.
Eva. Yeah, maybe Eden.
Edith. Emily Hampshire's Edith is right there. So but basically instead of just being, you know, voices like Friday, for example, Liz, are you looking forward to maybe seeing, you know, Carrie Condon's Friday and Emily Hampshire's
I like Carrie
Edith?
Condon, so I have no problem with it. I'm just curious to see what they're going to do with Vision Quest, how this is going to go. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't speculate more than that. I like her. I'm glad they're continuing with the show. I'm glad that Paul Bettany is getting kind of, you know, I don't want to call this a swan song. I don't want to call this redemption. I don't want to say maybe he's finally coming back into the fold through this show. I can't say because I really don't know what they're going to do with it, but it's going to be interesting for sure. So yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. The F1 release date, by the way, interesting. Not interesting. It's a great question, actually, by Nelson. I was trying to look it up. It's June 27th. So it's coming out literally a week or two before the Jurassic World movie comes out. So there we go. I think she was in Boardwalk Empire, Carrie Condon. Great actress. She's done a lot of good work, and obviously she's part of F1. She's now, it looks like, might be coming back as part of Vision Quest, which that would be awesome. I can't wait to see that. I mean, when we finally got Jarvis in the flesh, as it were. Remember that scene with Vision where he's like, we need to stop Ultron, and then whatever the line is, then he just picks up the hammer, and then Thor's like, oh, okay, so I guess
that was so great. That was such a great scene.
I mean, that was one of the most well-written, balanced out, like, humor, you know, as well as action scene. I think Avengers, I keep saying it, Age of Ultron gets better with time.
Well, and then how they tried to like make it make sense later on, like they're walking through the building and they're like, well, you know, if you put it on an elevator, the elevator still goes up. Like it's, you know,
exactly.
Very cute moment for
it's
sure.
One of those things where, like, you know, they brought the MCU down to earth for a second because they're like all these, like, you know, world-beating, super-powered, like, meta-humans or superheroes or mutants or whatever you want to call them. They're just having the same conversations we would be having as nerds and fans of this stuff, right? Like, or if you were just normal, you know, people living in their universe, like, maybe, what if you put it on the elevator? The elevator still goes up. Like, exactly. So I like that. Say what you will about Joss Whedon, and, you know, he's got a very spotty track record, it seems, but the writing in that movie was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, but to answer Jalen's question before we finish up on the Marvel topics, the little girl in Thor 4 is Chris Hemsworth's daughter.
Yes.
I don't actually know her name, but I assume she's something Hemsworth. But yeah, and so it was his own daughter, and that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool that they had her in the movie. And I'm not sure if she will continue to play the character of, I guess we know her as Love, because that's, well, if you watch the end of the movie. But, you know, we'll see. Steven is like tired today, Liz. Dude.
Oh, and both his twin sons Sasha and Tristan played young Thor in the flashback sequences as well.
I see. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, didn't he also, wasn't in Thor: The Dark World, like Natalie Portman wasn't available for like this kiss scene toward the end of the movie, and so they just got Chris got his own wife to do it.
Yeah.
And she was in the Fast and Furious franchise. Remember, basically she played the character that through which Dom Toretto has a baby. It's like, you know, like it's, which I guess will probably be all grown up by the time we get to the end of the next movie, given how fast he's growing.
Yeah.
So, Better Ray Bill, you know what? That would be a nice send-off thing. I mean, maybe they introduce that soon. Elsa Pataky, there we go. She's like a model and actress in her own right. She's a fantastic girl. She's Spanish, I think, right? And she's really popular in Spain, and she's done a number of movies herself. So yeah, they're A-list couple, Chris Hemsworth and Elsa Pataky, and their family. But anyway, so that's all the Marvel news for now. And let us know in the comments down below what you think about whether it's Thor, whether it's Daredevil we talked about, or Vision Quest. You know, are you excited for the show Vision Quest? Are you excited to see Thor maybe for the last time? Did you realize just how bad the ratings were for Daredevil Born Again season 1? Are they going to get better for season 2? Let us know in the comments down below. And right now we're going to move on to talking about, I think this was something that happened yesterday. We just didn't have a chance to talk about it because John and I already had our hands full. And as one of you guys were asking about it earlier, John is not now done with his mission. Nelson,
Nope.
I think you asked. John is back on his mission. He had to just, come in briefly to step in because I needed his help. So I was like, can you just take a break from the mission? Come back, help us out. But now he's back on the mission. But while he is doing his mission stuff, we're going to keep talking about the stuff that's happening in Hollywood, Liz. So the first thing that I want to dive into right now is the Harry Potter news, because yesterday we finally found out who are going to be playing Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and Ron Weasley, the three main characters in the franchise.
Really
But before we
exciting.
get into it, Liz, I just want to say it's almost a no-win situation in some ways, because nobody you cast is going to replace the fond memories you have if you grew up with this franchise like I did. You just hope that these characters will make these characters their own, these new actors, and that the take that they have on the franchise becomes like as good, if not better, than what we got in the movies, and the two of them can exist side by side. But having said that, let's talk about it.
Here we go.
We have got all three members right there. You could clearly tell that they look the part.
Kids. I'm excited.
Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly go over a little bit of their backgrounds, and then I'll get your reaction, what you think about this casting. So you have, of course, Dominic McLaughlin in the middle. He's going to be playing Harry Potter. Then we have Arabella Stanton playing Hermione Granger on the left. And then Alistair Stout, he's going to be playing Ron Weasley on the right. Now, if you look at some of the acting credits, I believe Dominic has done a bunch of stuff already. And in fact, Arabella Stanton was on the West End. So like she did Matilda, like she's led a West End production, which is insane at her age. I mean, and then when you look at Alistair Stout, he's probably the least experienced in terms of like, this is going to be his first big break. And then when you look at the numbers, they say in this article, they auditioned 30,000 actors for this. And they probably did a lot of chemistry tests, which, I mean, hey, you can only find out so much, right? But the big things here, and it's a multi-part question for you, Liz. A, what do you think about the casting? B, they're basically now going to have these three actors tied down ideally for like at least 7 seasons, because that's how many books there are. And if they're doing one book a season, that's I don't know. Like, I don't think, did they do like some generative AI thing where they aged them up? Like, this is what they're going to look like in 7 years.
No, I mean, the original cast did the same thing. They all started when they were like 12, 13 years old. So no, it makes perfect sense that, they all look to be around that same age. I think the casting's brilliant. I think they look the part. Let's hope they can all act, and it sounds like they can. I think they're adorable as shit. So good for them. I'm really excited about it. I'm really, really thrilled about it. I'm sure a lot of people, and I'm sure you were getting to it, but people are going to talk about the Hermione casting, which is bullshit. Because quite frankly, if y'all read the seven books like I did, she doesn't mention race whatsoever at all, ever, at any point. And then when you go on to Pottermore, Hermione's character is African American. So everybody that's losing their absolute shit about the casting, and we have, Severus Snape is going to be played by an African American man. Everyone that's losing their shit, stop reading books with whitewash across your eyes. I don't know what to tell you, because if race ain't mentioned, baby, how come you're making everybody one particular race? I don't know what to tell you here. That's on you, gang. As far as I'm concerned, anybody can play any of these people. They're wizards. So not really sure why that's a factor one way or the friggin' other. You can't pronounce half the words they're going to be using in this show. So I'm thrilled about it. I'm really, really pumped. I think they look adorable. I wish them nothing but, good luck and all the best, because this is going to be pretty much the next 20 years of their lives. Well, pretty much the rest of their lives, as we know. We had that 20-year anniversary on HBO with the
shadow.
This is going to be their legacy, regardless of what they do after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, like Nico saying, she looks like Hermione, And then Monique saying, yeah, I mean, rightfully so. There's people have been, riffing or like not riffing, but like ripping on castings for years, and even the ones that have turned out to be Oscar winning, obviously, like Heath Ledger comes to mind. You have Michael Keaton's Batman. These are just the DC things, but like you have plenty of other ones. I just remember back in the day, like I feel like this is one of those franchises that are like, I grew up from like when this thing started to where it is today. And I remember seeing the big magazine cover with the names of like Emma Watson and Rupert Grint, and I remember back thinking, oh, it's Daniel Radcliffe. Oh, it's the same. It's my name. Like, and all. Anyway, sorry. Now I'm making it personal.
Again, like, but like you said in the beginning, everybody has had something to say about all of the casting since. I mean, John Lithgow, everybody's upset because he's not British, and how dare you, and blah 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 blah. Even though he played Winston Churchill beautifully, like it's about the quality of the acting, not where they come from, who, you know what I mean? So I don't have a problem with any of it. I wish them all the best. Unfortunately, J.K. Rowling is still making a shit ton of money, and she's a trash person. So that's a shame. That gives me an ick around the entire project, because quite frankly, I really, really want to watch it. I really want to support it, but I don't want to support her anymore. So there's conflict there.
But I mean,
I'm fine with it.
Ultimately, what's going to matter is, can they have that chemistry that made the original cast so iconic?
And they look like too. I'd buy it, man. I'm buying it hook, line, and sinker so far.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the movies, as they went along, here's the thing about the movies too. The 7 movies came out across the course of what, like a decade and a half. They at least had a 1 year or 2 year, or maybe sometimes a 3 year gap between the movies. I assume maybe that's going to be the same for this show, because it's not like 7 seasons in 7 years. This might take, like you said, Liz, 15 to 20 years to play out.
I mean, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what they do. I think John Lithgow was talking about it's like 8 months out of the year every year.
Liz,
but who knows? They might say, hey, let's try and just wrap it all up as soon as humanly possible, and just keep it going.
That was the reason why people were like, is John Lithgow going to live long enough for the show?
Well, he said it. He said this will be his last. This will be it for him. He's not going to do anything else.
I don't blame him. But also, Liz, they're expanding the Leavesden Studios where they're going to film this in the UK, right? And by the way, I agree with Jalen what he's saying. Like, we have to protect these kids, and we, let's make sure. I'm not saying like go and attack people who might not like the casting. You could be in one of those people.
Nobody should be attacking anybody over fucking casting.
We just have to.
It's fiction, gang. It's fiction.
We have to wait and see how it turns out. Like, if it turns out like the show is terrible and maybe there are the wrong choices, then we can talk about it. But right now, there's nothing here, no evidence to say either yeah or nay if they're good or bad. But what I was going to say, Liz, they're expanding Leavesden Studios where they have all these sets being built, like new sound stages to house the sets. They're building this huge, like practically like, the Privet Drive, I think it is, like, where Harry Potter grows up. They're building the whole damn thing, and it's even bigger than how it was shown in the movies. They're also building an actual real gosh darn whole school on campus so that these kids can go to school without leaving the set.
They're thinking Lord of the Rings. They're thinking long game. They're thinking this is going to be a tourist destination for the next 50 years. People are going to take pilgrimages. And Disney's Universal, is raking it in with all of the world of Harry Potter. And now they have Epic Universe, and they've expanded it even further. They're not stupid. They have seen the formula and have said, you know what, let's get in on that. And good for them. Shit, I want to go out there and check it all out. It's amazing. And again, I'm pumped for all of it. I think it's going to be great. And remember, gang, whenever you give something like this a shot, recognize the difference between quality writing and quality acting. Don't get on the kids if the writing is shit. They have nothing to do. It's not within their control. But again, we already know. We've read all of the books. We've seen all of the previous films. The writing should be good. I still have very high expectations. Again, not happy about giving J.K. Rowling any more money, but I'm looking forward to it. I still, Harry Potter will always have a soft spot in my heart. I will always support the franchise, no matter how I feel about the creator. And gosh darn it, I'm hoping nothing but the best for these kids. Because just look at them, for goodness sakes, they're just precious. My gosh.
By the way, we have M8.
But let us know in the chat. Are you guys gonna watch the show? Do you have any interest in the show? like I said, I'm already thinking about buying my ticket to go check out the set because damn, that's awesome. It's very exciting.
You could tour the Leaves End Studios. They have all the Harry. They have like a whole museum's worth of stuff
Bet
there.
you
So
can. Yeah.
I almost went, but I was like so tired. We were like when I was in London, I was too tired to let go. But next time I'm definitely going. But anyway, guys, like Liz said, let us know in the comments down below. Do you like this new cast of Harry Potter? Like finally the 3 big names you've all been waiting for. It's also that thing of when you're watching the early movies in Harry Potter, it's not just the kids, it's the adult cast around them, like that kind of fill out the world. Now it seems like we have a fuller picture at what's going on there. So let us know what you think about the casting of Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and of course Ron Weasley in the new Harry Potter TV series for HBO Max. And well, we'll just be waiting to see now. The first trailer, I hopefully they start filming soon. We don't know yet when, but they do have some of the best talent over at HBO working on it. So I'm sure we'll hear more about it in the near future. In the meantime, though, Liz, let's pivot and talk about a couple other things. We had to do some updates on Stitch Impossible that blew up the Memorial Day box office and blew away the previous record by almost like $200 some odd million. And part of that was, of course, Tom Cruise's potentially, as far as he will tell you, his last adventure in the Mission Impossible franchise, playing Ethan Hunt. And after the weekend, he was so blown away by all the graciousness of the folks that went to the movie theaters to watch Mission Impossible, and I'm guessing also Lilo and Stitch, that he put up a message. He said, look, this weekend was one for the history books. Congratulations and thank you to every filmmaker, every artist, every crew member, every single person who works at the studios, to every theater and every employee who helps bring these stories to audiences. Thank you to everyone that works at Paramount Pictures and Skydance. Thank you for your many years of partnership and unwavering support. And most of all, thank you to audiences everywhere for whom we all serve and for whom we all love to entertain. Sincerely, Tom. 2 things, Liz. Does this again kind of further tell you that this is like full, this is period, full stop, conclusion, done with the franchise? This is his message to say.
Well, yeah, and
it was
again,
a great experience,
Yeah, we saw that other article last week about all the other upcoming projects he has going on. I mean, let's remember, gang, Tom Cruise ain't 30 years old anymore, so there's only so much he can do physically. Time and time over and over and over again. Yes, he's constantly one-upping himself, but I think even that gets old for him after a while, constantly thinking up of how can I possibly put myself in more danger, and how can I make the stunts bigger and crazier and wild. I mean, he still plans to go to space to shoot a film. So, I mean, there's only so much the man can do, right? We're definitely going to be getting a Top Gun 3. We're probably getting an Edge of Tomorrow 2. So he's got a lot of things coming up in the pipeline. Right. Maybe a Tropic Thunder sequel. We don't know. So it doesn't surprise me that he's saying this because, again, he knows himself. He's going to be back in cinemas one way or another. Hell, he might show up in the Jurassic World franchise at some point down the line, for goodness sakes.
He never know. He's not stopping. He's going to keep going. He's like, I'm guessing his stunts
he's 90,
won't stop
baby.
either. I mean, his sci-fi films are great. I mean, Edge of Tomorrow is another one that we potentially might still get a sequel to. Who knows? It's definitely overdue, but Tom Cruise is no stranger to overdue sequels at this point. But Liz, one quick note that this is something I found out today because I was browsing Variety, as you can see there. You know how Technicolor shut down last year? I think it was earlier this year, actually. We covered it on the show. It was a sad day. Technicolor, one of the OGs of the in the VFX world. I'm sure everybody, even if you don't know who, like what they do, you have seen the logo of Technicolor. They're no longer around. They kind of collapsed all of a sudden, and they had a couple of VFX studios under their purview. And as part of that, MPC was one of the studios that did some of their last VFX shots for both Mission Impossible and Lilo and Stitch. And since they did that work, now the studio is no longer there. I mean, Technicolor's gone, and so is MPC, which was part of Technicolor. And it's just kind of sad. I mean, so you have MPC, you have the Mill. MPC also wasn't like some tiny VFX house. They were one of the big names in the industry. And of course, with Technicolor collapsing in February, that's kind of led to them, the everything they owned also going away, and obviously a lot of people losing their jobs. But at the very least, I think the good part here is, for all of us going to see this movie, you are in some way or shape or form supporting the people that worked on it, including the ones who don't have a place to work on anymore, at least until they find their next gig. But Liz, what do you think about this? Again, the VFX industry has been so fickle over the years because they don't have unionization, and then people get taken advantage of, but and financially they struggle, and this is an example of that. But at least I guess we get to see some of their work in these two movies.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame. It's the end of an era for sure. I mean, first we had the whole debacle with Village Roadshow. That was disappointing in itself. But I mean, these guys, like, we know Technicolor. They've been a staple in film and TV for a really, really long time. So it's sad to hear about this, and hopefully, I don't know, can they claw themselves back in the future? Maybe. It's expensive industry too to be a part of as well, so that's a big part of it too, is they can only do so much with the technology where it stands right now, and once you start constantly innovating, then the price tag just continues to go up, and how long can you really sustain that over and over again? So it's tough, and I feel bad for them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Technicolor, like Frankie is saying, they brought color to film when we were transitioning from black and white to color film. And there's like back in you have movies like Flowers and Trees, the band concert, like those are just some Disney movies. There's like other big movies, Three Little Pigs, and like so many movies that they use this like really punchy, like even I think Alice in Wonderland, like all these movies that had this like punchy colors.
They would put that on advertisements. They would put that at the beginning of a production now in Technicolor. So it was a household name for a really, really long time. And so it's again, end of an era. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, ILM was the big studio that behind the VFX in both movies, and they ended up taking over some of the work that was no longer able to be done by MPC. But nonetheless, hey, these VFX houses deserve more respect, and hopefully other studios like as big and powerful as MPC and Technicolor don't go the way of the dodo in the future. But hey, let's go support these movies and the people who worked on them, because at least they can look back and the work that they did on the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
But moving forward to the next, Liz, just a couple of small tidbits here. People forget that Wing Rames. He was.
I knew it. I was hoping he was coming back for this one, but I guess not.
He was in the animated Lilo and Stitch, and of course he's been a huge part of Mission Impossible. So I guess Wing Rames had the whole Stitch Impossible experience this week, and even though, like you said, his character wasn't in the live action Lilo and Stitch.
How do you miss that? That's such a good opportunity. I would have loved it for him to come back. That would have been so cool, but oh well, it is what it is.
Yeah. Maybe they're saving him for the sequel. See, now he was busy filming Mission Impossible. Now he can maybe come back for the sequel.
Yeah.
And
we'll see.
Lilo and Stitch is making all kinds of money. But hey, you know what? The other thing I want to kind of quickly bring in, Tom Cruise, of course, we know he's relentlessly promoting Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And as part of that, he's going to be joining David Beckham, former Man United, and of course, Real Madrid and PSG, and of course, player, legend, and now he's one of the minority owners of Inter Miami. I actually have been kind of aware of this news for a little while because I have some insider access, let's say, but I, had to keep my lips sealed because I would get in trouble if I spoke out too soon, and they would come looking for me. But now we know, because the UEFA Champions League final is this Saturday, and they've been doing these special, David Beckham and Friends, they call it, where they'll do, like the Manning cast, like for Monday Night Football on ABC. Yeah. There's just the two Mannings, and they'll do bringing people on and talk to them while they watch the game. So they're doing a special version of the broadcast. They've been doing it. They did it for a couple other matches, and on the latest one that they're gonna do for the final on Saturday, David Beckham is gonna be joined by Tom Cruise on Paramount Plus. So you can watch David Beckham and Tom Cruise talk about soccer or football, depending on where you are in the world, as they watch the Champions League final between PSG and International. So not Inter Miami, but the OG Inter, Inter Milan playing PSG. PSG, of course, the former team of David Beckham as well. So, I mean, I don't know if you're a fan of soccer, Liz, but does this excite you? Do you think Tom Cruise might, give away any more secrets of his or advice? Like, he's been given advice on every red carpet appearance. Like, people ask him, what is your philosophy on hard work? And then he just waxes on for like 5 minutes about it.
Yeah. No, I think it's weird, honestly. Like, I don't when I think of sports, I don't think of Tom Cruise. I don't even expect him to be a fan of sports. Like, how does he have the time
How does
to
he have the
watch
time? Yeah.
anything? So no, I think it's gonna be like really cheesy, probably. It's probably gonna be super cringe to listen to him, regardless of whether or not he actually knows his stuff, that he knows what he's talking about. Again, you guys know there's only certain times that I believe Tom Cruise should leave the house, and I don't think this is one of them. But you know what? If it brings viewers,
He doesn't
that's
look
great.
his
I love UEFA. I love the Champions League. I'm a huge fan of soccer. But this does nothing for me. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm gonna be watching the Champions League final. I might just tune into the Beckham and Friends because, hey, Tom Cruise, imparting his wisdom, as it were. I'm sure he's gonna have a fun conversation with David Beckham. Now, with that in mind, guys, let us know. Have you done the whole Stitch Impossible experience? Did you do the back-to-back, the dirty double, whatever you want to call it? And if you did, let us know if you enjoyed both movies or if you had a better time at one or the other. And we will keep talking about it because I'm sure they're gonna make another splash at this upcoming weekend's box office.
You'll get my review of the live-action Lilo and Stitch next week.
Yes, we will definitely, because Liz is flying across the country to see it. Which kudos to you for doing that, Liz. That's awesome. But there's another movie Liz. There's another movie coming out this weekend, and it's gonna be the highly anticipated Karate Kid Legends, which we now have some first reactions, some first reviews as well. So I love the headline. The reactions reveal if sequel is worth waxing on or turning off. I'm like, thank you for getting that in there. The puns.
I'll be getting my review of that next week as well, gang. I will be seeing. Yeah.
And Liz, overall the reviews are kind of mixed. It's kind of like you see some of them on screen here, and just to kind of give you guys a summary. In general, like most people are saying, okay, it's good, but not the best thing ever. And then some of the people who didn't like it, they're like, okay, it's not terrible, but it's not good either. So like it's sort of like middling overall, the reception. Are you surprised that that's the reaction we're getting from people?
I'm bummed. I mean, I'm really bummed because
nostalgia.
Yeah, I'm really bummed because fans like John and myself, we were really looking forward to this movie. I think maybe we hyped ourselves up too much for it. I don't know. I'm not caught up with Cobra Kai. Not that that's directly related to this, but I'm sure there's going to be some references in there. It's a shame, but at the same time, like if anybody actually watched all of the Karate Kid films, including the Hilary Swank, including the Jaden Smith, if they've watched all of the films, like I don't know what you expect, gang. Like they weren't masterpieces in their own right. Like we just get the feels about it because that's what we grew up with. We have that sense of pride and that sense of love. Mr. Miyagi forever. I mean, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know if it's people that are disappointed or if it's just they just didn't get the same type of feels that they were expecting. I don't really know. But again, I'm gonna see it before you guys see me again next week. So I'll let you know how I feel about it. But I'm still very much looking forward to it. The trailer had me hook, line, and sinker. So I'm hoping it meets my expectations at the very least. But we'll see.
I mean, like the trailers have been wonderful. Like the trailers are what clearly sold me on the movie because I wasn't really sure about it either because the last one wasn't great, and we know this one doesn't really connect to Cobra Kai all that much either. So if you're a fan of the show, don't expect many crossovers here. But
and I'm wondering if that's part of it too. If people only know Cobra Kai and don't know the original films, and that's what they were expecting, they're expecting,
or their only memory might be watching the Jackie Chan one, which with Jaden Smith, which wasn't very well received either. Although it's not as bad as some people make it out to be, but also not maybe all that great. There's 59 reviews right now. It's sitting at 61% on Rotten Tomatoes. For example, with Empire Magazine, they say the movie doesn't quite live up to the promise of its Cobra Kai meets Mr. Han marketing, but for breezy feel goodness, you have come to the right dojo. 3 out of 5. So again, middle of the road. And then you have Boston Globe where Odie said, but if this film is any indication of the quality of this season's movies, I must quote, the Bananarama hit from the original movie is going to be a cruel, cruel summer. So 2 out of 4. So again, kind of in the middle. Then you do a few other reviews real quick here. 3 out of 5. Comingsoon.net gave it a 7 out of 10. Overall, it just looks like when you're getting these ratings, everybody's sort of like 61% seems to be a pretty accurate assessment so far, which again, unfortunate that it's not more universally beloved by the critics at least, but we'll see maybe the audiences will love the nostalgia and maybe they'll appreciate it more than the critics do. And that's ultimately what's going to help it succeed or not, because the early preview for the weekend box office, well, it looks like Karate Kid Legends will get off to a decent start, but Lilo and Stitch is still looking to do at least 60 million at the second weekend. So
hell yeah,
it might not get to the top of the box office, Liz. It looks like Lilo and Stitch is going to start out on his second weekend. It's still at the very top of the pile, whereas Karate Kid Legends,
there's 6 of us going to see it on Friday.
Yeah.
Gang, so we're helping those numbers already.
I mean, 25 to 30 million isn't bad for Karate Kid Legends, but certainly not gonna, like the 60 million that Lilo and Stitch, which I mean the opening weekend it did 145 million, in the 3-day weekend 180 some odd million, breaking the Top Gun Maverick record over the course of the entire 4-day Memorial Day weekend. So it's no surprise that 60 million is a pretty big drop, but it's no surprise that it's going to outperform Karate Kid Legends. But Liz, you're going to go see it. I know that I'm going to go see it because I still want to see it for myself and judge for myself whether this movie's worth it or not, because when you look at it, the one thing the reviews are saying is that Ben Wang is the star of the show. So he's the one who's really, steals the show and does a great job, regardless of whether you like Jackie Chan or Ralph Macchio's performance. One of the other things I heard is that Ralph Macchio doesn't really show up early in the movie. He comes in pretty late. So if you're going in thinking he's going to be there the whole time, that might be something that you might be disappointed by.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, which is, again, I was as surprised as you are hearing about it, but there you go. We have now Be Positive in the chat as well.
Make it seem like he's in the trailer. They make it seem like he's there from the very beginning. Like that's how the film starts. So
but
that's
it seems
wild.
like that's not the case. Maybe I don't know. Again, I don't want to give away any other spoilers, but so I won't tell you guys anything about Jaden. As far as I'm aware, I don't think he's making a cameo in this. I have not been told otherwise. But yeah, I mean, Ben Wang should be Spider-Man Kid can move for reals. Yeah, Be Positive. Ben Wang is going to be the star of this movie, and in fact,
Be
that's
Positive, number 1 in the rankings. Oh my, oh my! You guys bumped me down to 6. Oh, hurt my feelings.
Let us know in the comments down below, guys. Are you going to be watching Karate Kid Legends this weekend? If you are, then what are you most excited about? And we'd love to hear from you in the comments. And if you're watching live, then thank you so much. Hit that like button while you're here. Right now, we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about some quick hits, as they were. So let's hit that Bossa Nova elevator music, shall we? And yeah, we're going to dive into the quick hits, and Liz will be right back in a second. But the first thing we got to talk about is, well, the IMAX countdown video. Like I don't know if you want to call it a teaser or a trailer, but I'm sure if you guys have all gone to see an IMAX movie, they do this whole countdown at the very beginning where they count from 10 all the way down to 0, and the movie's gonna begin, and mind-blowing images, better sound, or whatever. I've seen this countdown a million times because I kind of worked as a part-time IMAX projectionist for like one of those OG IMAX 70mm film projectors. So I know what they look like, how they function, how to load the film into it, how to unload, and I remember like just the cinematic nature of this whole montage with the IMAX sound and the big picture, because it was like a proper 70mm theater. Like they've done a version of that here with Fantastic Four, so it's kind of promoting the movie as part of the whole countdown. I love it. I love the look of this. I hope that I get to see it when I go see another movie leading up to Fantastic Four coming out. But guys, let us know what you think about it in the chat down below, or in the comments. It looks nice. It also fits the whole 60s vibe that they're going for. Now, what do you think, Liz? Is this one that you like as well, or have you seen this yet?
Yeah, John and I think we caught it. I don't remember what it was, but we caught it a couple weeks back when they first put it out there. Yeah, it's cute. It's a good idea.
Yeah, I think so too. Absolutely. Again, it's clever marketing, right? It's absolutely clever marketing, and I love that they're doing this. It's another way to promote the movie. I think it plays before the Thunderbolts for sure, so another Marvel movie. And yeah, guys, while you're here, hit that like button. We do appreciate it. And also check out Lizz's podcast, Try Not to Curse, on Spotify and all other podcasting platforms.
I just recently spoke with an actress who was on the most recent season of Righteous Gemstones, gang. So pretty cool.
That is
pretty
awesome.
Cute.
Can't wait to see that. Can't wait to see and hear what that sounds like, the podcast. Drive-through cinemas are still around, not that many, but there's still a few. All right, next thing, Liz. The Black Panther video game has been canceled by EA, and they also shut down Cliffhanger Games, which was the studio working on this video game. Are you surprised that this is how things played out? I mean, this was announced and in development for a few years now, but I guess EA is shutting it down and moving on.
I mean, no, I know nothing about it. I didn't know there was a studio called Cliffhanger. I'm not a gamer, so I'm not a part of that world, that news, those updates. I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about the creation of a Black Panther game. I have no skin in the game and that's what it all. But, again, it's a shame when, purportedly people are losing their jobs. It's a shame when projects, because I'm sure they did some extensive work on it. It's not like it was just sitting on a shelf. I'm sure they were trying to develop it. So, it's a bummer when this kind of thing happens, but I really don't know a whole lot about the history, about the reasoning, about the expectation. So I really can't say much.
I mean, hey, 300 people losing their jobs.
Yeah, that sucks.
But it sucks. It absolutely does. It wasn't Disney. The Wonder Woman game was canceled by Warner Brothers. But yes, that was another cancellation recently. And Nelson, we do stream on Twitch. In fact, if you go on Twitch right now and search for Also Curious, you will find us there. We are streaming on Twitch at the same time. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on X and Twitch and YouTube all at the same time. Actually, that's a fun fact. But Jalen, as far as your question goes, another trailer for Fantastic Four. I do believe we're going to get one before release, but probably not anytime soon. So I would say weeks away at least, probably sometime in June. But speaking of the summer months, Liz, James Gunn is not only going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, but as you guys mentioned in the chat the other day, he's also going to be at CCXP in Mexico alongside John Cena for Peacemaker. Are you excited for this? Is this one of the Comic-Cons that you've been to or is on your list of the ones to attend?
No, I've never been. To anyone in the chat, I'm terrified of Mexico. I'll probably never go to Mexico thanks to movies and TV shows. No offense to Mexico, but no. I didn't even know they did a CCXP out there, but that's really cool. I'm happy for the fans. I'm happy that they're making the rounds. Hopefully they make it out our way. I'll be going to New York Comic Con. I'll be going to Rhode Island Comic Con. I'm probably going to Boston Fan Expo. So it would be cool if they made an appearance there. And hey, if any of you guys go to any of those cons and you see me walking around, please stop me, say hello. I'll be there every day. So it would be great to actually meet y'all in the flesh if you any East Coasters are in the chat. So yeah, cool for them.
Absolutely. Moving on to the next thing. By the way, just a reminder, guys, if you are watching, hit that like button for us. It's one little click for you guys. It does wonders for us. We do appreciate it. And Liz, To Doom, speaking of cons, To Doom is like Netflix's own Comic-Con. It's more like, well, it's not, it's like more like just Hall H, because they just present, they bring out all the celebrities, go all out. That event is about to take place this year. It's an annual event. I'm sure they're going to be talking about like Stranger Things and all the other big projects. But One Piece is also getting a season 2, and they just put out a clip within a special announcement about season 2 recently. Did you have a chance to check this out? Because one clip, the first season, a lot of people thought it was one of the better anime adaptations for live action, and we are getting a second season now. They put out a little clip for this. It looks fun and interesting. I saw it yesterday. I thought it was really fun. If you're a fan of One Piece in general, then this looks to be just, them kind of getting it right again, at least in my opinion. But then again, I haven't watched every episode, so I have maybe more of a surface level opinion on this, Liz. But what are your thoughts on One Piece season 2 and what you saw so far?
Yeah, I know nothing about One Piece other than it's got a huge dedicated fan base. I know it's a gigantic show, gigantic anime series. So as long as fans are happy with it, I think they got to keep it going. They're doing a good job so far, so good for them. But again, got no skin in the game here.
Yeah. Well, as Monique is saying, To Doom is the 31st of this month, so it's literally a few days away. So definitely we'll keep an eye out, and we'll be talking about it next week. Everything they announce, including, of course, probably more information and details and maybe some behind-the-scenes looks at One Piece Season 2, which Nelson was saying he's hyped. So yes, I mean, this is a huge audience. It really does. All right, well, Liz, somebody brought this up yesterday in the chat. I think it might have been Elite Easy E. I don't remember exactly, but they were mentioning that there was this story out in Esquire, or actually GQ there, where they were saying, hey, Aaron Taylor Johnson just signed a deal with Omega Watches, and the last big celebrity representative, it was Daniel Craig, and Daniel Craig, of course, became our James Bond 007 until now, where we are looking for a new James Bond. So, as the article asked you, Liz, does this new watch brand deal for Aaron Taylor Johnson mean that he's the new James Bond? Have they given that away while Amazon works diligently to find a new Bond? Is it gonna be Aaron Taylor Johnson? Because
sounds pretty good to me. Let him get endorsed by Aston Martin, and that's a wrap, gang. I mean, we'll see, but I don't mind the speculation. I'll tell you that. I love this man.
Well, Aaron Taylor Johnson is one of those many, I guess, like alongside Henry Cavill, Idris Elba, names that people have constantly referred to as like, okay, they're the right pick for it. And I mean, hey,
they're probably going to make him cut his hair. If it were Henry, they need to make him fix his teeth. I mean, there's a lot of things that we got to do. But then again, Daniel Craig didn't fix his teeth either. So I don't know.
I guess
I don't know. You got to clean them up, man. That's all I'm saying. They need to be clean.
Yep. Well, as they say in the article, all the Switch watch brands, Omega is perhaps the most adept at strategic leaks. Daniel Craig showing off a new unreleased Seamaster and Speedmaster watch. I mean, because when he was one of the,
I think Pierce did ads for them too, if I'm not mistaken. Let me Google it.
Yeah. Well, now Aaron Taylor Johnson is the official brand ambassador for Omega. So does this tell us that he's going to be the next Bond, the next 007? We'll see. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. And you know what? This story kind of, melted my heart today, because this really goes to show you why Chris Evans was and is and probably will forever be Captain America, because he had a movie at Cannes this year that premiered at the Festival of Festivals.
Pierce Brosnan did do Omega commercials.
Who?
Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, he did. Oh, awesome. Oh, there you go. More heritage. But as I was saying, Chris Evans skipped the movie premiere that he had at Cannes. He's part of this huge film that premiered at, like I said, the Festival of Festivals, to go to his mom's 70th birthday, saying some things you just can't miss. Of course, all of his co-stars were there, but he wasn't there because he had more important things to do. Liz, what are your thoughts on that?
I would friggin' hope so, gang. If your mom turns 70, you better fucking show up with flowers, a card, a nice candle, maybe her favorite perfume, at the very least chocolate. But yeah, he's doing the right things as far as I'm concerned. But are we surprised? It's Chris Evans. The only thing he's done wrong is married someone 16 years younger than himself. So, oh well. I mean, nobody's perfect. But Margaret Qualley and Aubrey Plaza were both, at the premiere. Of course, Ethan Cohen's Honey Don't is the movie that he's a part of. And yeah, well, you know what? That's as good a reason as any to skip a Cannes movie premiere, which would be the career highlight for so many people. But for Chris Evans, it was more important to be there for his mom's 70th birthday. So yeah, and it is, as Monique is saying, it's his own birthday coming up soon. So yeah, I would love to see him back as Captain America. We might in some of the Avengers movies that are coming up. In the meantime, though, Liz, we do have, of course, Lilo and Stitch, and I just thought this was kind of funny. They've been putting out these like little memes, how to pretend to be a dog. He's so cute. I can't.
Love fresh air.
He's so cute.
Walk on a leash.
Look at him. Oh my god.
You hate a bath. That's very dog-like behavior. Food on the floor.
That's gross. That's not okay. No.
Sit.
Look at him.
Love being told, good boy. There you go.
Belly. He's so cute.
I think Stitch qualifies, right? He's a dog. He's a good dog. Like I think he qualifies.
Sweet, good. He's the goodest boy.
He's the goodest boy. Well, let's save that for crypto. We also have to talk about crypto later. Okay. But Liz, Hrithik Roshan, like one of your favorite Bollywood actors, he's teaming up with KGF Kantara producer Ambali Films for a major pan-India project. Not a lot of details here, but KGF, that franchise is one of the biggest Bollywood franchises in terms of like financial might as well as just the ambition of the storytelling. So is this one that you're excited for? Because these movies always make money. Do you think this one will too?
Yeah, I hope I get to see it. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to see a lot of films lately. I don't have the extra time. But I hope so. I do. I dig films like this. Anything that comes out of Bollywood or India for that matter, I'm all in. So yeah, good luck to them. I think that's great.
Yep. Awesome. Well, moving on to the next. I just wanted to give a little bit of Bollywood flavor to today's quick hits. Good Fortune put out a new trailer. That's the movie coming out soon. Starring, of course, Keanu Reeves as an angel meddling in earthly affairs, and this is, of course, Aziz Ansari's.
So
He is. I mean, although he's just playing himself in the movie, let's be honest. Aziz Ansari's directorial debut, this is, and also starring Seth Rogen. What did you think about the trailer, Liz? Did you see it?
I love Aziz. I love all the projects that he's a part of, and I believe he wrote this one. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's got a stacked cast. Again, Keanu Reeves is just playing himself with wings. He's not
even acting. Like literally,
well,
he's like, I don't.
Because he's, if you see the trailer, he's an angel who's like jaded. Like he's like, I'm not like contributing. Like I want to do something. I really want to help change somebody's life, and I think it's a really cool concept. And I mean, Seth Rogen, everybody's happy when he shows up. So I think it's great. I love it. And I feel like it's a nod to Constantine with the trench coat for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
We will have a Constantine story on the show tomorrow. We just didn't have time to include it here. This was like the funniest part of the whole trailer. He was like, he'll be so confused. If you saw the trailer, you know what I'm talking about.
Brilliant.
But, yep. Seth Rogen, of course, the studio is amazing. So, yeah. Constantine, was he an angel? I don't think he was an angel.
He worked alongside angels. He was kind of like a merc for God, kind of.
Yeah, essentially. Speaking of merc, Ryan Reynolds is working on, of course, an X-Force movie supposedly, and My Time to Shine. One of the Hollywood scoopers recently said that the movie that Ryan Reynolds is writing potentially would include Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, Josh Brolin's Cable, and potentially a new Storm to be a part of the new, what would be, I guess, an X-Force team. Do you believe this rumor, Liz? Do you think this would be the cast?
I believe it. As much as I like Ryan Reynolds, I'd like him to stay away from my stuff. So I'm not exactly pumped about this. All of a sudden he thinks he's just gonna write stuff for I don't know. I always feel icky when actors get involved in these like passion projects or whatever, and it's like, bro, just act. Like I just need you to I don't know. Again, I feel the same way about Henry Cavill, like, because I want him to succeed, but I feel like all fans are gonna do is shit all over his projects. Like, here's the problem: when you attach yourself to something like this, expectations come with it automatically, and I just don't think it's gonna hit the mark, and I think it's gonna be really disappointing if this is really happening. So I don't know.
Yeah, I really am. I'm not sure if this movie ever comes to life, because it's not like it's a greenlit project. He's just working on something, and if Kevin Feige says yes, then great. If not, then we'll just have to see where things go. Because also the second Deadpool
but
movie
he's
was
got
sort of
enough
an
money.
X-Force
He could
thing.
fund it himself if he was.
Could, but
I mean, like
he doesn't
I
own
don't
the
know,
characters
man.
though.
I don't
Right?
know. Yeah, that's true.
If Kevin Feige doesn't want it, that's But anyway, we'll have to just wait and see. But speaking of Ryan Reynolds, of course, he owns the Wrexham Football Club, and
he co-owns. Rob started it. Rob started it. Nobody ever gives Rob credit.
But you see him right there on the photo. But Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney's Welcome to Wrexham series has now been renewed for season 5, and its spin-off has also gotten a title. The spin-off is going to, of course, be focused on one of the clubs in Mexico, I believe. No, actually not Mexico. Let's see, where is it? It's a club.
Maybe it's focusing on the women's club.
No, it is. It's a club based in Mexico. It's partly owned by Eva Longoria. Nicasa, I believe. That's the club Nikaha, and that's going to be the focus of the new spin-off. But also, of course, Welcome to Wrexham, currently airing season 4, now has been officially renewed for season 5.
This is one show that I do watch religiously. I am a Wrexham fan. I have their merch. I am obsessed. I love Wrexham. Wrexham. Love it.
What I will say is welcome to Wrexham. It's gonna be very interesting next season because this would cover the team Wrexham getting promoted to the next league up 3 seasons in a row, which is unprecedented. Like each year they're going up.
Unheard of.
They're getting into the
coming
EFL
home.
Championship.
It's coming home, gang. It's coming home. Here's hoping.
And the EFL Championship is one of the hardest, leagues in the world, even though it's the second tier of, behind the Premier League in the UK. I mean, the challenge is now, can they then go up from that to the Premier League? A lot of teams get up to the Championship, then just gonna stay there because the jump from that to the Prem is so high. But welcome to Wrexham, guys. Speaking of which, by the way, I didn't bring this on today's show, but Lupita Nyong'o did just sign up with WME today, a new talent agency. So there you go. Yeah, Wrexham is in North Wales. Absolutely.
Sure is.
So the last quick hit today, Liz. Over the weekend, we were talking about ILM earlier in the show, but over this weekend, ILM celebrated the 50th anniversary of, I guess, the OG VFX studio.
It's so cool. It goes on for like 10 minutes. It's like a 10-minute clip of just all, I mean, you watch this and you're like, they had a hand in that. They had a hand in that. Like literally every film that we've ever given a crap about, they have been a part of. So it's really just amazing. Such a credit to them, to their studio, to all the work that they've done. You guys definitely, if you get a chance to check this out, please do so. It's so cool to just kind of go through and reminisce and be like, wow, like they really did. They did the damn thing over decades, just decades of hit after hit. It's really, really awesome.
Yeah. I do believe they're also working on Superman as well. So they're one of the VFX houses. But yeah, I mean, you see like almost every big movie that you guys have ever seen, ILM has been a part of. They invented Photoshop over there. Like they are the OGs. Yeah. And they're celebrating their 50th anniversary. That's insane. But I guess it makes sense because Star Wars is turning 50. All these other, ILM was started to basically, it put in place, created for Star Wars in the beginning, and then they expanded from there. But guys, that is it for the quick hits. And with that, we will close out the music. And then I'm going to bring up this graphic and ask for your opinion. Which of the quick hits was your favorite? Let us know in the comments down below. Of course, we're not done yet, so don't go anywhere. But hit the like button while you're here, because we're now about to move in to really what is always the main event of the show, and that is, of course, the world of DC. So let me switch gears here. We're going to bring in all new graphics, and please allow me, if you will, to welcome you into another episode of DCU Daily. I, of course, am Daniel, and I am so thankful you guys are here today. We have a lot of DC stuff to talk about. Earlier, I mentioned we're going to talk Superman, then some more Superman, and then, more Superman, and Superman. So we do have a lot of Superman, but we do have also some Paradise Lost news. We have a little bit of Peacemaker, a little bit of James Gunn, but that's also about Superman. But anyway, I digress. Liz, what are you excited to talk about today?
Well, this super fan is looking forward to talking about Superman, even though Funko kind of ruined some things for us. But hey, I'm excited for the new Funko Pops. I'm a Funko fan. I know a lot of you guys don't like them, but guess what? I'm going to be there in the stores scooping them all up, so I don't care. Adding them to the collection.
Apps, yep. Liz, you froze up for a second there. There we go. Okay. Well, it's DC time, everybody. So let's get things started. We're gonna do what we're they're kind of like DC quick hits a little bit. We have a few smaller items, then we have a lot of Superman. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the DCU's Paradise Lost television series. Apparently, it is progressing well and is now expected to premiere on HBO Max in 2027. This is according to the Fortress of DC. I don't know if I believe this too much because it's not coming from James Gunn or one of the bigger outlets like Deadline or Hollywood Reporter or Variety. But Liz, just to give you a bit of background on this, Paradise Lost was a series that the last time you heard from James Gunn and Peter Safran earlier this year, they mentioned that they weren't making the most amount of progress on it. Things have slowed down according to what James Gunn said. But given that they're talking about 2027, we could be at minimum 2 years away from it. So do you think this is a good timeline? Do you think we will get that show by 2027? Because it's meant to be like this Game of Thrones-esque take on the Amazonians, and it's meant to take place 1,000 years in the past. So do you believe that this is the right timeline?
I've heard of Paradise Lost. I think it is. I think we've been without Wonder Woman long enough at this point. Again, the game has gotten canceled, and we've got Peacemaker, we've got Superman, we've got a lot of new things coming down the pipeline. So I think it would make sense for them to pull this out and bring Wonder Woman back into the fold in some form. So I hope it happens. I think that'd be great.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, any timeline, any update like this, I will take, because Paradise Lost is one that we haven't heard much about in a while. And every time we have from at least James Gunn himself, he's like, oh, we're kind of working on it. Like maybe
Yeah.
we'll get to it eventually. So hopefully eventually it means 2027, which is actually technically probably still before we get the next Batman movie or the Batman movie. But anyway. Moving on to the next thing. This is a smaller update, but Supergirl, of course, did recently wrap production, and now, according to the DC Updates account, they were saying that Will Coban is reportedly set to appear on the show as the Brute in Supergirl, or not show, the movie Supergirl, adding to the cast of the film. This is one of the castings that we haven't really talked about. We weren't really aware that Will Coban had anything to do with the movie. Of course, they're already done filming, so I imagine he's already shot his part, Liz. Does this move the needle for you at all, any more than it already did for Supergirl, considering the other cast members we already know about?
Well, no offense, I don't know who this gentleman is, nor the character that they're playing, so no. But again, I'm excited to learn about this character through the film, so that's good. As you guys know, I've been clamoring for new characters. Give me, because I know there's a vast universe out there, and fans are going, hey, why are we always talking about like the same 5 people? Maybe we should bring some other folks into the fold. So I'm looking forward to it. Good for Will, good for the franchise, good for DC. I got no problems here. Hopefully they do a good job.
Yeah, agree. I mean, Will Coban is not a very well-known actor. Like I'm gonna just quickly see if I can find out what his credentials are.
Yeah.
He's done Haunting of the Queen Mary, Albion, Obey, The Boys in the Boat, Origin, King Arthur,
Boys
Legend
in the
of
Boat.
the Two
Awesome.
Swords.
Okay. I know Boys in the Boat.
Apparently he's listed for like Zack Snyder's Justice League and the Justice League, like the both versions of that movie. I don't know what character he played in that movie. I'm sure you guys can let us know in the chat.
That's him in Boys in the Boat. Oh, he was hot in that movie. Oh,
you know what?
You know what?
In Zack Snyder's Justice League, he was the tortured Atlantean soldier that Darkseid. It's Steppenwolf like drags out of the water, and that's him, I think.
Shoot.
Okay, well there you go. So he's been in a couple of things. He's already had some DC experience, so now he can be in Supergirl. Yeah, I mean, Enterprising is excited.
Go ahead, Will. Good.
Well,
oh, he was in King Arthur too. Sweet.
King Arthur,
Nice.
the one with Charlie Hunnam. Anyway.
Yes. It was hilarious.
We were talking about Batman just a few minutes ago, Liz, and it looks like Robert Pattinson is very well aware of the fact of the delay in the sequel coming out.
Well, because he's looking forward to it as much as the rest of us are,
Yeah, I mean, he was recently talking to Naomi Aki, and they were, of course, both together featured in, well, they were the stars of Mickey 17, and he said this, as you can see on the screen there, I started out as young Batman, and I'm going to be effing old Batman, but a sequel, because isn't he like in his 40s now, or at least he's about to turn 40?
He's a new dad. He just had a kid. Yeah.
And he's meant to be playing like a year 2 Batman, right? Which and as far as we are aware, the second Batman movie, The Batman 2, picks up literally right after the Penguin leaves us.
Yeah.
And the events of the Penguin take place like a week after the Batman, like the OG movie.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
I assume that they're gonna find a way to make him look like he's only aged by a couple of months as opposed to 5 years. So we'll just have to wait and see. Enterprising was saying he's not that old. Man of Steel, Magnolia telling us how quickly Superman is approaching. But yeah, I mean, hey, we've beaten this topic to death. The idea that Robert Pattinson is gonna be old Batman for the second movie, like he could literally be the Ben Affleck version of the character if they wanted to. But good thing he doesn't look like he's 40. He doesn't look it. So plus, with all the eye mascara, makeup, and everything, I'm sure he can still pull off 25. So we'll be fine. We'll be fine. The next thing is actually about Superman. Speaking of which, 44 days until the movie comes out, and they did put out a theme for Metamorpho, Liz. This is on Threads. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube as well. It's called Controlling the Elements, which is essentially Metamorpho's superpower. Did you have a chance to listen to this? This is by Jonathan Cox. Did it leave an impression on you?
I did not get a chance, but everybody, whenever you talk about James Gunn, we talk about music. Music is such a big part of everything that he does. It's obviously very important to him. I know a lot of people in the chat bring it up every time we talk about him. So I think that's really cool that he's started releasing stuff, because we had questioned that a couple weeks ago, right? What's the soundtrack for Superman going to be? Is it going to be anything like Peacemaker? Is it just going to be all instrumental? Is it just going to be, is it going to be songs we're familiar with, or all brand new songs? So I'm glad that he's slowly rolling out a couple of things here and giving us an idea of kind of setting the tone in advance of this film. So I think that's really, really awesome. So I hope everybody gets a chance to listen to it. I'm going to try and listen to it when I sign out of here. But I think that's awesome. And I'm expecting we're going to get more down the line before the movie comes out.
Yeah, I for one listened to it. It's closer to Man of Steel soundtrack than it is to the rest of the music we have gone from the new Superman movie so far. But yeah, you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing more of this come out before the movie comes out, because in the past we have seen, like, for movies, especially for DC movies, they'll put out more and more pieces of the soundtrack ahead of the release of the film, and even like the whole soundtrack usually comes out the day or two before the movie comes out. So this is just one of those pieces. This did release, Jalen. This is on Threads, as you can see on screen, but I'm sure you can search for this on YouTube as well. That Sebastian Boehm Blue Monday cover is amazing. I listen to that like once a week, and it just goes to show you can have a really good trailer for a really bad movie. But the Wonder Woman 1984 trailer, that's right, that's where that was. But yeah, I mean, John Murphy's working on the soundtrack for the Superman movie, and then Jonathan Cox did that theme for Metamorpho. But Liz, Halloween this year, you can dress up as Superman, or you could dress up as young Superman, or you can dress up as Guy Gardner, or Mr. Terrific.
That's cool too.
And then of course Hawkgirl. So or the engineer. I mean, for the adults in the room, I guess you can dress as the engineer.
That just looks like the old school X-Men costumes. That doesn't even look like anything.
Actually, you know what? That is fair. I mean, although the details are.
Jean Grey wore that a couple times already.
That's true.
Yeah, cool. I mean, hopefully, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of Supermans walking around this year. We'll see what happens.
Superman.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Supermans.
Supermen, Superboys. Yeah.
I wonder if this goes with like the Superman boxers we talked about. They're probably like not.
We'll see.
But they are great Halloween costumes. I guess we'll see how many people are wearing them. Swole dude. I don't know if he's swole.
Listen, it's thin material, gang. So we're gonna be on bulge patrol every time a new Superman comes around the block. Is all I'm gonna say.
Believe in the bulge. Yes, absolutely. We will keep an eye out. We don't want to give away any trade secrets, or I'm sure the people wearing the costume don't want to give away any trade secrets, I'm sure. If you get my drift. But hey, while John is away, the Fossil Watches will play, because John wants to get his hands on one of these, and so
I love Fossil too. So I stand with this, babe. This is nice. This is awesome.
I love it. Like, this looks amazing.
Fossil's one of my favorite brands. Yeah.
Like, I'll try to get my hands on a couple of these. And
dude, I need that bad boy. That is sick as. That's awesome. That's awesome.
City of Tomorrow. We're really adopting that terminology for the new movie, which hasn't really been done in live action before. I love the backing of it. I love the accessories and how
that's cute. Yeah.
These. Look at that. You get a lunchbox.
Yes, love it.
And a bit of an extra.
I need that one with the cityscape for show. That is awesome. That's awesome.
How much are these? These are limited edition. I have no idea.
They'll be over $100. They'll be over $100.
Yeah,
probably, my guesstimate would be like 125, 150. If I know my Fossil watches.
Probably in the right range. I mean, if you just go to Fossil, their website online, I'm sure you can find out. Or if you just search for Superman Fossil watches, you could figure out that for yourself. Man of Steel Magnolias actually already did the homework, saying $360. That's not a bad amount.
Whoa.
That's I mean, I get it's a pretty penny. So
it depends on I think it depends on where you're shopping from, because I'm seeing $250 for both of the watches. There's a wallet for $95. The bracelet is $75. The cufflinks are $80. There's another wallet for $75. So I think it depends on what country of origin you are shopping from.
Yeah.
But $250. That's higher than I thought, but
well,
I
360 on
really
eBay,
like that
somebody's
watch.
probably upcharging you. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But anyway, well, moving on to the next thing, some more Superman merchandise, Liz. We've got some brand new back to school supplies. A little bit early, but considering the movie comes out in July, I suppose it makes sense. So you can get some school supplies, whether that's a little carrier for all your colored pencils or compass.
Yeah, the pencil cases are sweet.
Calculator, lunch boxes, backpacks. They even have backpacks that you can like use as like almost like a suitcase that you can just pull the handle up. I mean, Liz, you could probably take this when you go to see your nephews next time. And just take this with you in the airport instead of your
I want to
usual.
know when lunchboxes got so sturdy like this. You don't have any squished sandwiches in these boxes anymore. Good for them. No, I think the pencil case, especially the one on the bottom there, is cool as. I really dig that. So maybe I'll get one, even though I have not had a need for school in quite some time. But
I love the comment from Rosie there. For children, nah, I'm buying these for myself. Well,
hey,
Superman is on the lunchbox in the DC world, as he should.
Superman is for everyone. Whatever makes you happy.
Absolutely. Liz's favorite superhero, too.
Sure
Moving on
is.
to the next thing. James Gunn shared this hilarious toy ad. They've got all of these new action figures from the movie. And I'm not going to play the audio, but the audio behind this is hilarious. And I guess James Gunn was as amused as we are. I mean, just watching this is kind of funny because like the kaiju is so cute, but he's meant to be a baby kaiju, by the way. We'll get into a little bit more of that later in the show because there's more behind that story. But Liz, are you a fan of these Spin Master toys? Would you get yourself a few some?
I mean, they look good. They look classic and I dig the commercial. I think it's pretty adorable. The fact that like slime pours out of the thing is creepy, but
and then you can refill it.
If that's true to the film, I mean, the fact that you can refill it's kind of cool. Like you're not wasting it in one shot. That's nice. It's gonna be full of cat and dog hair after a couple of goes, but no, I think it's pretty sweet. It definitely harkens back to the commercials when we were younger. So I think that's pretty neat.
I love it. I love the figures. I love the commercial. I love that James Gunn got a laugh out of it, and hopefully you guys do too. By the way, if you guys are watching, I see a lot of you watching, not nearly as many likes. So please just do us a favor.
That math ain't
hit
mathin'.
that like button, please. We do appreciate it. It helps us out a lot, and that way we can have more people in the community, and we can just keep growing the channel, and of course more people to hop in the chat and talk about Superman because the movie is looking good, Liz, and they just put out a new ad spot. No new footage necessarily, but what are your thoughts on this ad spot?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's the footage we've already seen, so I'm just as pumped about it as I was before. So I mean, nothing really new there. But hey, somebody already said it in the chat. They're really rolling out the merchandise. They're really going hard on the marketing. So I think that's great. You guys know I mentioned whether or not a film is promoted enough or not, and they're definitely doing their best to try and generate interest and get butts in seats come July. So as of right now, I think they're killing it. Again, when you're considering all the other films that it's up against for the month of July, they're the ones that are advertising the most. They are doing the most right now.
Now we're in that zone, like 2 months, 2 months before release. In fact, they also did another one of these ads. Like I like this. This looks 3D because it's like kind of meant to look like a standard Instagram post, but then you see all these like 3D elements popping out of it, which makes you wonder. Like they're not advertising it for 3D or anything, but I love how they've got like these elements, and it looks more interactive. It looks more like 3D in a way, more in your face, more immersive. Like, what do you think about advertising like this?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely giving you an idea of what to expect because I'm sure they will have showings in 3D, even though, as y'all know, I'm not a big fan. But hey, it's cool.
Yeah, and I totally love that they're putting crypto front and center, and the flying sequences, like Enterprising is saying, are amazing. Like this movie is probably gonna get Superman flying down to a science in a way. Oh, whoa! No,
hey,
we
now.
can't get to this just yet.
My favorite part.
Yeah, no. We I have to. You have to build up to that one. Sorry, I kind of skipped ahead there. And Nelson saying, I'm going to the premiere dressed as Clark Kent. There you go, Nelson. Be dapper. And speaking of dapper, I came across this magazine cover where Nicholas Hoult and David Cornsweet, who are supposedly polar opposites in real life in terms of personalities, decided to do this, like, you know, fashion magazine. I don't know, like they're on the magazine cover. They had a full photo shoot, and I have to tell you, we can't talk about it without you know, getting some Fashion Week music going. So here we go. Let's get into it, shall we, Liz? David Cornsweet and Nicholas Hoult on the cover of, and the feature
David,
story.
we keep saying this about David. Every time we see David, he looks like a completely different human being. Like, how is this possible with this guy? Whew, my word. My
Wonderland,
word.
Liz. I don't know, the Heroes issue.
I'm there, babe. I'm there.
I mean, we'll go through some of these photos. I'm just enjoying this. So this whole situation is great. This photo is probably my favorite. Like, look at that. Like, these, okay, that's the Superman and Lex Luthor.
It just ain't. It's not fair. It's just not fair. If they don't sell a bunch of Fossil watches for this alone, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I mean, come on, you guys. Thank you. Yeah, that's right, Jalen. Damn, 100%. Damn. Get out of here.
Yeah. Suave guys looking like sexy Blues Brothers. There you go. There you go. Jail's like, show it. Show it now.
Come along. Talk about Bulge Patrol gang. Come on.
Oh, Jail.
All right, there's more. Keep going through. There's more here. There's more. Don't do this to the people. Yeah, a couple quotes. We don't. You guys can read this.
Yeah, but we're not really here for that.
Come on. We want John Cena and The Rock to kiss. We're a little closer. Come on. Goodness sakes. Goodness sakes. Terrible.
That's
just
all
terrible.
kinds of delicious.
How dare they? How absolute dare they? That's all I can say.
Okay.
Again, look at David. Looks like a completely different person. Like this.
He's a total chameleon.
With this. It's so bananas. It is just wild. I can't handle it.
This is great. I love it. I just love this. Then of course the individual photos. You've got the solo shots. And again, yeah, David Cornsweet.
Again, who is this person? David 0.2.5 or like how many of these are we getting, David? Wild. Such an enigma, this guy. Great.
So good. I read the quotes as well, but it clearly the real meat and potatoes are the photos. Like that's what we're here for.
Potatoes is right. You're darn right, Jalen Harris. Holy baby Jesus. Woo. Come on.
Especially from Liz, from this angle, like Bulgegate. Like I don't know. Like yeah, can you tell?
I mean, I don't endorse the socks being worn like that, but you can't win them all. Good God, it's not right. Hey. It's not right. I want to be a law.
Yep. It looks fantastic. I mean, the glasses, no glasses. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
The art director knew what they were doing. That's all I can say. Holy cow.
The art director nailed it.
You done got him.
Nailed it not once but twice. Put the secret agent film together. Yes, enterprising. They should star in another movie together. I would totally go watch it.
Awesome.
I would totally go watch it. This better be the annual thing with these two. This is the best thing I saw all day. Like honestly, we have more stuff to talk about, but this was amazing. I was like, we have to have the right music to talk about this. But hey guys, let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about these? I don't know, Liz. How would you describe these images? These
thirst traps.
Thirst traps. There you go. The thirst traps in Wonderland. Maybe you can go pick yourself up a copy of the magazine. Well, that's all the quick hits for DC. We now have to dive into. I'm gonna stop that music. But we had to dive into what is going to be Liz. Marvel and DC are doing a crossover for the first time.
This is really cool. This is really cool.
Yeah, it's for the first time in 2 decades. Well, like 20 years, some odd 20 years, right? Like that's what I think I saw in the numbers. But I first came across this on Instagram. I saw they were doing a Deadpool Batman cover, and this was from Marvel. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Batman, DC, like all the names like that you usually don't see water and oil mix, but here we are. And then I went over and I saw that DC posted a cover as well, where the only difference, I mean, obviously the artwork is different, but then the Batman logo is on top, then the Deadpool logo is at the bottom as opposed to the other. So I see how they're, like Marvel version of it versus the DC version.
Super cool. This is amazing.
And then, of course, Jim Lee kind of chimed in on the part of DC because he's in charge of DC Comics, saying that, they've been sort of planning this out 2 to 3 years in advance, which makes sense. That's kind of how DC and I'm sure Marvel also works. And to kind of give you guys a bit more detail on, what this is going to be, this is literally the first time DC and Marvel have been are going to be crossing over in the comics in years. Yeah. But they're 2 one-shot comics. There'll be one from Marvel. That's going to be the one written by Jeff Wells. That's the Deadpool times or versus Wolverine, or not Wolverine, Batman. And then on the DC side, Grant Morrison is writing the Batman versus Deadpool equivalent. So a few more details here regarding the crossover. Like I said, 2 one-shot comics, one by Marvel, one by DC. It's the first time in 20 years. And Liz, these are the 2 covers. Are you looking forward to these? I mean, the artwork looks fantastic. You look at that.
Yeah.
Dan Mora did this artwork for DC, and then on the Marvel side as well, it's looking amazing. What are your thoughts on Batman and Deadpool?
I mean, I would genuinely, as much as I'm not a comic person, I would genuinely be interested in picking this up and seeing the interaction between these 2. I think this is really, really cool. This is something very special that hopefully, they're saying in a chat, hopefully they do this more often. But I might have to pick one of these up. I like the first one better, the first cover, but I think you guys, I'm going to try and get my hands on it because it's really, really awesome. This is such a rare opportunity. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, no, it looks amazing. Sorry, my camera just
Oh, you're okay. Well, so Frankie G, thank you. Hi, Frankie G is in the chat, and he's saying he wished they went with Iron Man instead of Deadpool. But I would argue that I think Iron Man and Superman would be a more interesting dynamic because, we've already got the billionaire CEO in Bruce Wayne, so Superman's already kind of dealt with that type of personality. So I think that would make for kind of an interesting back and forth between the 2. Like he'd be like, oh, where have I seen this before? You know what I mean? So I dig it. I'm really, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. It looks amazing. I love the artwork so far, and I can't wait to see what the comics turn out to be. There's again 2 one-shot comics coming out later this year, and it looks like they've been working on this for a little while now. I guess the next question would be, does this lead into a live action any kind of crossover? Maybe. Do you think that's ever gonna happen? Like maybe Marvel and DC crossing their
when
live
they run
action
out of ideas,
over?
maybe when they stop making money, maybe. I don't know. Like, Universal has DC and Disney has Marvel. I don't know about all that. I don't see that happening, but people do love a cash grab. So any opportunity they can get, you know what I mean? If this becomes a hit and becomes a regular thing, hey, they might want to cash in on. I mean, James Gunn has worked for both, right? So it's not completely.
It's more possible now than ever.
It's not completely out of the question.
The other thing I just want to quickly note, Liz, like if you see on the right side the DC cover, that's using like the new Batman logo with like the blue and the black. And you see on the left is more of that the previous version. So the DC version looks like they're going to be using the new artwork from the new run of Batman comics that they're about to start up, and so you can see slight differences in the character designs. I wonder how the comics if they're going to connect at all the 2 different versions, but this is fantastic, right? Like you don't have to like one or the other. We can be fans of both. So that would be wonderful to see other crossovers, but they do this every once in a while. It's not often, but when they do, they usually strike gold, and hopefully this is also going to be that. And with that, Liz, it looks like we have to let you go because you got to catch a flight.
I sure do, gang.
We'll see you
I get some sleep. Wish me luck.
Definitely wishing you the best of luck. Hopefully you can sleep on the plane, sleep on the drive over, or while you wait for the plane.
Well, we'll see y'all next week, gang. I hope everyone has a good
next week.
Bye.
All right. Well, there goes Liz, and wishing her the best. Monique saying safe travels, Liz. We'll see you on next week's show. She's gonna be back on Tuesday, and we'll be talking about Lilo and Stitch and Karate Kid Legends. But we are not done yet. So we do have to now talk about all the Superman news. Remember I talked about Superman, 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 Superman. Oh, and then some more Superman, and then some more Superman beyond that. So let me find my Superman graphic. There it is. And let's dive into that, shall we? Because the very first thing I wanted to talk about Superman is there some screenings going on potentially. One of them we know is a real screening that's going to happen when the movie actually comes out. So that's where we're going to start, and then we're going to get into some more test screenings news. So the first thing we're going to dive into, of course, is a special fundraiser for Superman from Real Outreach, talking about a special screening for underprivileged kids who deserve a moment of movie magic. So if you want to be a hero, you can go to their GoFundMe and donate, and that way, they're trying to get to $15,000 overall. But this will allow kids who wouldn't otherwise be able to see the movie to have the joy of movies, as they say, they're brought to them. And of course, they can go see Superman in a movie theater. This would be a fantastic opportunity, and we can all contribute a little bit to that, so that people can go see movies who otherwise wouldn't necessarily be able to afford them, because again, movies are so expensive nowadays. I know Liz would appreciate this, and have safe travels to Liz, by the way, again. But they are, like Jalen is saying, at 3,000 right now. Let me kind of click through and see where they're at live on the show. As Jalen mentioned, they're getting close to 4K. So they're moving on up. Their goal is 15,000. So you could donate here. You can see the recent donations as high as $300, but you get $100, $50, 55 people so far have donated to this. And if you do donate, then you'll be helping, a lot of underprivileged kids go see Superman at the movies. That is awesome. I feel like at this point, like, there should be something like James Gunn should just step in and be like, all right, we're going to take care of the next 10K, and then just, do even more than that. Like, why not? Like, it's not much money, but it's, the love of movies, especially at an early age for a lot of kids. This would be a fantastic experience, and I think this is a great opportunity. Plus, also, just the right thing to do, I think, spreading the love of movies to as many people as it possibly can, regardless of our financial circumstances. So I wish them the best of luck. I might go and donate after the show, and I hope you guys get a chance to do this as well. If you just search Real Outreach Superman on Google, I'm sure you'll find the GoFundMe. But the link is on Threads as well, so you can go check it out there. Now let's talk about, well, as you can see there in the headline now from comicbookmovie.com, there are some more rumors about test screenings of Superman. They're saying here that the movie went through some significant changes following a recent test screening. Now, again, anything about test screenings, always take it with a grain of salt, because we're not really quite sure if, it's true or not. But this is coming through World of Real, where their writer Jordan Ruimi said, tensions are high at Warner Brothers, where CEO David Zaslav and DC Studios leads James Gunn and Peter Safran are scrutinizing every frame to avoid another franchise misfire. And apparently, up to 25 minutes of the movie have been trimmed out from an earlier version of the movie, which was set to lean heavier on humor. So I can only assume that means there'll be fewer jokes in the movie now. One of the film's editors was also supposedly removed mid editing, and that led to a restructuring of the film. And now they've tweaked a few things, signaling a slight shift in how the story is going to be presented. Some of the sequences were shuffled around, and minor scenes were added during reshoots. Now, of course, we also know that in total, they've only done about like 1 week of additional photography. So it's not like they've done significant reshoots. But as Enterprising is saying, I don't believe this one. And you know why, Enterprising? I agree with you. Because when you look at all of this, here's the thing. An editor getting fired has nothing to do with the, the changing the structure of the movie, right? Because the editor doesn't get to make the final decision on like how to edit the film. It's the director. James Gunn is going to sit in the room and tell him like, you're going to do this, and that's how it's going to be. Because in this case, he's also the studio head. So, it's a double whammy. Like, the editor doesn't get to make these decisions. Like, if they imply here that the editor was fired because they weren't doing a good job, sure. Not doing a good job is one thing, but, like, they weren't the ones in charge of, like, making creative decisions. That's on the director. So that right there is a disqualifying factor. That's nothing out of the usual. If they'd hated the editor, sure, they fired him, but that's usually not the case, because like when you bring on an editor, you're bringing on experienced people, and James Gunn is one of those directors who works with editors who he has worked with before, like on the Guardians movies. So I can't imagine that he was in a situation where like all of a sudden the editor went rogue on him. Like there's, what is he gonna do? Like, leak the footage? We haven't seen that happen yet. So that aspect of it doesn't fit with me. The other thing also, yes, it's obvious that the pressure is on. They want to make sure they get this right. I don't think that's anything that's new. It's nothing that we haven't heard of before. And as far as the scrutinizing every frame, that sounds like they're just like, making up words. Like, of course they're scrutinizing every frame. Like that's called doing your due diligence, right? It doesn't make any sense to like point that out as something that was, would be unusual per se. And then the whole thing about tweaking and slight shifts here and there and how the story was being presented, that's what post-production is about. When you watch the movie being put together, they tell you in film school that a movie, and this is like, good wisdom in general for filmmaking, a movie is written 3 times. Once in pre-production when you're writing the script, once during production while you're filming the movie, and then also again while you're editing in post-production. So yes, the things change, and that's why Marvel always books weeks and weeks of time for reshoots for their movies, because they know they're going to want to go out and maybe change a few things up. So yeah, and then Nico, I will get into the runtime issue as well. Yeah, I mean, 7 manual, there are a lot of characters in the movie, but feeling rushed, I think that's going to be a matter of, again, how it's all put together, like ultimately. And then that's what they're trying to figure out right now, the flow of the film. And I just have to say that when you go off of Monkey Trolls, I still don't think that's happening. When you go off of James Gunn's track record, that's really the best guidance we have right now. Have any of his other movies felt rushed? Have any of his other movies had like issues with balancing humor with heart and action and adventure? I don't think so. The 3 Guardians movies make up probably the best, if not one of the best trilogies in all of the MCU. So I think over here, when you look at all these details, key sequences were shuffled, minor scenes were added. Well, no shit, Sherlock. That is basically what post-production is about. So this isn't so much news. It's just they're making things up, which probably more than likely are true. And therefore, like whenever if it is ever confirmed, or then it's like, oh yeah, look, we put it out there first in the world, even though quite frankly, all of this is business as usual. This is not really news, but I figured since it's out in the world and World of Real does usually get quoted, let's talk about it, let's address it, because ultimately, I just don't look at this stuff and think it's okay, the Superman movie is not in any kind of trouble. It's not in any kind of trouble. Sure, they trimmed out a couple of scenes, removing a couple of jokes. Okay, like that's, again, very normal. Like nothing major was altered. Okay, cool. That means they're not redoing the movie. Cool. They want to ensure they're striking the right tonal balance. Every movie does, right? Like this is what John would be telling you. So yeah. But Sam Emmanuel saying maybe it will lead to some spin-off series. You know what? Maybe it does. I hope so. I mean, I think that's the goal here. Like maybe they want to have Lex Luthor appear and a cameo. Potentially he might be a surprise cameo in Peacemaker. Like that would be nice. And Nico, like I said, we will get into your runtime comment in a second, because we do have to talk about that as well. But yeah, let's keep the ball rolling here. The next thing I wanted to discuss, because the other day we did talk about it, we talked about how James Gunn has said he is going to be attending this year's Comic-Con, but we have a few more details, guys. So he's going to be bringing John Cena with him, as we know. They're going to be doing a Peacemaker panel. We don't know if they're going to be in Hall H, but James Gunn did say in his own words, of course, I'll talk about everything. Now, one of the things that I think this actually means, or in fact, I think what it literally means is what Enterprising said earlier in the show, that outside of a Q&A and some announcements, he's not expecting much. And I think that's pretty accurate, because ultimately, I just don't think they're going to, at least if you go off of their other recent appearances, they didn't really have a presence at last year's Comic-Con. They also did just the Future Commandos panel at New York Comic Con, and then James Gunn answered questions. He was like, ask me anything. And so he was asked everything, and then he answered, giving us some like tidbits of information about Lanterns, about Supergirl, and all these other projects. But it wasn't like a Hall H presentation. So when he says he's going to talk about everything, again, there's no confirmation here that they're going to do a Hall H presentation. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that's what they're going for? Because I just don't know if that's the intention here. Like Enterprising was saying earlier, There will be a Q&A. They'll do a panel for Peacemaker. They might do a separate panel for Supergirl because now it's done with filming and it's in post production. So maybe the director and cast of Supergirl come out. But they haven't confirmed any of the panels for Comic-Con in general, so we don't know the Hall H schedule. So that's the other thing you got to worry about. Like, is there gonna be a Hall H panel for DC anyway? And will this Peacemaker panel be in Hall H? That's the other thing too. Be Positive saying, which is the fourth best Superman anything after Superman 1 and 2 in Smallville, Lois and Clark, or an animated movie? I would say Man of Steel. I know that's probably a controversial opinion. I would probably put Man of Steel at the top, and therefore everything else kind of drops down. So maybe Lois and Clark or the animated TV series falls in number 4 for me. Preacher Commandos is good. It's on Max now. You guys can go check that out. And yeah, as Be Positive is saying, please hit the like button. We do appreciate it, and it helps get the show out in front of more eyeballs. And Monique saying, keep to just Peacemaker. Don't do a whole Hall H level presentation like Marvel does. And you know what? I'm okay with that because they've been giving us a steady trickle of information anyway. By the time Comic-Con comes around in late July, Superman would already have been in theaters for a few weeks. So I don't think we're going to get a ton of Superman information outside of maybe James Gunn announcing the sequel getting greenlit, which again, it's kind of his job because he's the studio head, so he gets to make the decision alongside Peter Safran. Maybe we'll get that. Maybe they will officially announce a World's Finest movie, but to do that, they would have to first cast a Batman, and then also they have a Batman movie in the works, so I don't want it to feel like they're jumping ahead of his own solo movie before and then give us the World's Finest straight away, because at that point it would very much feel like Batman v Superman in the DCEU, where we got a new Batman in a movie with Superman rather than giving him his own movie first. Not saying it can't work, but people will draw the comparison, and I'm sure James Gunn would be aware of that. So yeah, but with that in mind, guys, hey, this is all we know so far, but that they also probably don't want to jump the gun, as it were, pardon the pun, and get ahead of San Diego Comic-Con announcing their schedule of events, because right now we don't know what the schedule of all the panels, what the Hall H schedule is going to be. So maybe James Gunn is keeping it pretty vague, saying, I'll be there. We'll be doing a Peacemaker panel. John Cena said we're going to be revealing the new intro for the show. I kind of put up some money the other day with John saying, hey, I bet they're going to perform it, and John Cena is going to be dressed up in his Peacemaker gear. So we could get all of that, but that doesn't mean we're going to get, the announcement of a new Wonder Woman or a new Batman. We all wish that that's the case, but I just don't know. I'm not convinced about that, guys. Enterprising saying, I'd rather not have World's Finest yet. I agree with you. I think we need to first get the Batman Brave and the Bold. We need to introduce Gotham City. We need to introduce all the other Batman, adjacent characters. Let's get to see what this Gotham looks like, because if you do a World's Finest out the gate, then you're putting a lot of pressure on that movie to introduce that world of Gotham and not make it look surface level. That's the problem that Batman v Superman had. It had to do so much work and end up being like a 3-hour long movie, so they cut it down by half an hour, and all the pacing got trashed because of that. And then we get to have to worry about the ultimate cut, and then from there the DCU just went downhill. So Superman himself will make an appearance, Frankie. I don't know if David Cornsweet would be at a Comic-Con, because they're doing this whole worldwide promotional tour, which is only going to pick up leading to the movie coming out. So I bet you the cast of Superman is going to be resting at home. And David Cornsweet has a young family, and I think he just had a new kid recently, and so he wants to be with his family, with his wife and his kids in Philadelphia. I'm sure the same applies for all the other actors. They want to spend some time at home after being on the road for as long as they will be promoting the movie. So going to Comic-Con is not a simple thing, So Clayface and Lanterns updates, Enterprising, that's, I suppose, it's possible. I just don't know for sure. Clayface, they're rewriting, right? They're doing a page 1 rewrite, so which is kind of insane. They greenlit it because of the Mike Flanagan script, so why start over from the top, Unless the director came in and said, this sucks, I'm doing something completely different. In which case, why would you hire that director? So I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, maybe that's one of the questions that James Gunn answers and gives us a bit more clarity on. Lanterns, again, they haven't announced anything yet, but the show is still filming. I mean, I assume that it will be done filming by the time we get to Comic-Con in July, but Yeah, I mean, if the actors are freed up and the producers want to like take a few days out of their post-production schedule and make an appearance, then yeah, maybe. I mean, they could be doing ADR work on the show by then, right? So like the actors might still be doing work, but it's very possible. But the thing is, clearly here you can tell, at least as of right now, they're not doing the whole Marvel thing where they do like one big Hall H presentation. They might have multiple panels spread out across the weekend, but it doesn't look like they're going to give, all of their secrets away in like one 90-minute presentation, which that could change tomorrow. But like as of right now, this is where we're at. So that's the best that I can say. Seven Manuel saying, I heard some interview where James Gunn said Batman will show up in Clayface most likely. Yes, he did say that. Or he didn't actually, you know what? He didn't actually say that. I take it back. He sort of implied it. It's kind of very implicit in there, like the way he says it. It's not necessarily, I mean, honestly, James Gunn is really good at doing this, where he kind of dodges the question. So by no means did he confirm that, but it's sort of almost implied that we're gonna see the new DCU Batman somewhere else before his own movie. And people are just speculating, since Clayface is a Batman villain, that that's the most likely place we're going to see Batman before his own movie. So that's all there is to it. James Gunn didn't confirm that, so I wouldn't rely on that as being truth or fact. We do have Antonio in the chat. Hello, Antonio. You're joining in a bit late, but you're welcome to be kind and rewind and hit the like button while you're here, of course. Saying in the chat already, Antonio says, have y'all heard the latest whopper from somebody's folks? Now the script that James Gunn is not here, he stole it from Christopher McQuarrie. Oh, you're talking about how Christopher McQuarrie was talking about his Man of Steel 2, and people are saying that it sounds very similar to the Superman movie we are getting. I don't believe it. I listened to that part of the interview on Happy Sad Confused podcast, great podcast episode. Christopher McQuarrie just goes on and on, but he's a great filmmaker in his own right. I just don't think James Gunn ripped him off, because quite frankly, right around the same time that Christopher McQuarrie had the idea and was pitching to Warner Brothers is when James Gunn was initially writing the Superman script, before it ever got greenlit by Warner Brothers, before James Gunn got hired to be a DC Studios chief. So I don't think that James Gunn stole the ideas. Sure, there's similarities, but that probably just means they have similar inspirations. So yeah, their writing styles are also very different, like Monique is saying. So yeah, we haven't seen anything other than like what Christopher McQuarrie has mentioned. We haven't seen any version of a script from him. So that's the only way we can really compare. Maybe James Gunn consulted him on it. Maybe Christopher McQuarrie might be open to doing the sequel to Superman down the road, because James Gunn is so busy with, running the whole damn studio. I wouldn't, this, if anything, shows that Christopher McQuarrie is still very much, in love with the character of Superman, and perhaps would like to do a Superman movie down the road. And depending on where all the characters are, including Superman and maybe a Green Lantern and all the other characters that we're going to get in the new universe, if Superman does really well this summer, I can guarantee you there'll be a sequel, and maybe James Gunn doesn't direct it. So maybe Christopher McQuarrie might do it, while he's not busy making the next 5 Tom Cruise movies. So we'll have to just wait and see. Lauren LaFranc saying that we're done with that, in the sense, again, Antonio, as far as the Batman and the Penguin goes, we're done with that in the sense that, sure, right now there aren't any plans for the Penguin to get a sequel, but you never know. Once Matt Reeves is done with the Batman 2, eventually, whenever we get that movie, there might still be an opportunity to do another Penguin season, or maybe they can do a Sofia Falcone season, Sofia Gigante show. So just because Lauren LaFranc is saying that they're done with the Penguin doesn't mean they can't do other spin-offs in the epic crime saga universe, as it were. But yeah, Frankie G saying the plan was to always make a more hopeful Superman. And then Seven Manuel saying DC has the best animated movies and shows. They actually have character arcs and more mature plots, bloody action scenes. Yeah, absolutely true. Again, it is a little subjective too. You can love Marvel, you can love DC, you can love both. It doesn't mean one has to win out over the other. But hey, let's keep the ball rolling here. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the runtime, information. There's a lot of runtime speculation going on for the movie Superman today on the internet, and it's come up before, But today I felt like it was all over the place. There's even an article talking about it. But James Gunn, of course, debunked one of the rumors, like Nico is saying in the comment down there. And as you can see on the screen, somebody was saying, "Hey, James, is the runtime for Superman locked? There's rumors that it's 2 hours 2 minutes." Which is what we've been seeing for a long time. So 2 hours and 2 minutes roughly ends up being 122 minutes. That's what the math runs out to, like Nico is saying. And James Gunn responded to that question saying, that's not correct. It's almost totally locked, meaning we were just finishing a couple of VFX shots over the weekend, and that's not the running time. So he specifically addresses the question saying that is indeed not the running time. So we know it's not 2 hours 2 minutes, and part of that has to do with the fact that it's not locked. And the person asking the question was aware of that. And if you guys are not sure what that means, basically in film production and TV production and most video production scenarios at the professional level at least, you do get to a point where you call it a picture lock. And a picture lock is when you lock in all the visuals. Like that's what you have. And at that point, for a movie like Superman and most movies, you'll send it to get scored by the music, the composer and the orchestra they're gonna use. They play them. They'll play the movie out. They'll compose the music for it, and then literally record the soundtrack to match all the beats and story, plot details and all the different sequences, whether it's a fight sequence or just a talking scene. They'll record the soundtrack once they've got picture lock. So that's why we are only getting some small pieces of music from the Superman movie so far, because they don't have the whole soundtrack recorded yet. They're waiting for picture lock from the movie, and you can tell there James Gunn has said it's not locked yet. Like they're still working on a few VFX shots, and then once those VFX shots come in from the studio, the vendors that they are licensed out to, or not licensed, but the contracted out to, then they'll work with the editors and see how they can piece it all together, and the runtime could change by a few seconds or by a few minutes. And until that's locked, we don't have a runtime. Like the 2 hours 2 minutes, I remember when that initially came up, it was because some international distributors on their website were mentioning 2 hours 2 minutes, but they're also said it for a bunch of other movies they didn't have an official runtime for. So that might just be a placeholder, that might just be a placeholder. Antonio saying, Dan, I know about that story for 4 years now because the director of F1 directed Top Gun Maverick. He was going to direct that Green Lantern movie. Yeah, Joseph Kosinski. And then he said, I knew him a few years ago because the guy I am has a YouTube channel called Unfiltered. Yes, I know. Yeah, Be Positive. We did talk about that. The whole rumor. We actually talked about that just 5 minutes ago, about the changes to the movie since the test screenings. I mean, it's really hard to believe because a lot of what they're saying is very generic information that's business as usual for what movies go through in post-production. So changes will happen. A movie's written 3 times: once when you're writing the movie in the pre-production, once when you're filming it in production, and then once when you're editing it in post-production. So the movie is changing. Of course it is. And actually, we will get into the China release as well in a second, Be Positive. So do stick around for that. But as far as the whole runtime situation goes, obviously it's not 2 hours 2 minutes. James Gunn said that's not the case. And there's still speculation though on the internet because they're running with it, the 122-minute number. And if it was theoretically 122 minutes, it would make it one of the shortest Superman movies ever, because when you look at all the other Superman movies in the past, 90 minutes seems to be the shortest, which was Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, which is also one of the worst Superman movies. So there's that. But then when you look at a lot of the other ones, 122 minutes is on the low end. In fact, it would be the second shortest Superman movie ever. But since James Gunn said that's not true, none of this matters right now. For all we know, the movie might be a lot longer than 122 minutes. But let's keep the ball rolling here because, yeah, and again, Antonio, at the same reason that I was mentioning earlier, because the VFX shots aren't done yet. But as Be Positive was talking about it, guys, as of right now, Superman has got an official release in China. So that's the big news, and Be Positive brought it up. But yeah, and Hunter Iggy brought it in as well earlier. We're gonna get Superman released in China. James Gunn shared this poster announcing it officially. The movie will release in China on July 11th, the same day and date as the US and many other countries around the world. And they're now been promoting it on Twitter, on other social media platforms, like Antonio was saying. I saw this here as well. James Gunn posting, the poster not only on his X account, but also on Instagram, on Threads. The poster looks nice. I love the poster. It's very similar to the other posters we've been getting. from other parts of the world. They also did this promo clip, which, as you can see, the way they're dressed, the studio that they're in, this was shot weeks ago. So clearly this has been in the works for a while, and all of this was shot and ready to go. So it's now official, but clearly this means that this was, only a matter of time, and it was a long time coming. And I guess they shot it, anyway, because even if it didn't happen, I suppose, this footage could have been buried or put into a locker somewhere. But, as of right now, we know Superman is getting a China release, and I can't wait because, dude, there's like 1 billion plus people in China. They're like the second most populous country in the whole damn world. So Superman will benefit from releasing in China. And Superman also, yeah, he may be traditionally an American superhero, but in general, the way this movie is being marketed, the Man of Tomorrow, the City of Tomorrow, Metropolis, and everything, it's not like, it's an America only movie. And Captain America does well in China. So I'm like, Superman can only do as good, if not better. So yeah. Antonio saying, I would still like to see Christopher do something Warner Brothers, and I think with Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi, there's a great chance he'll come there now because the last manager pissed him off. I think you're talking about Christopher Nolan. Well, I don't know. As far as Christopher Nolan goes, Universal has given him a pretty good deal there. He's pretty settled in now, so it's gonna be hard, but maybe one day, maybe one day. Antonio saying with Tom Cruise there, I think there's a great chance because remember he has a distribution deal with Warner Brothers, so I think Christopher Nolan could come over. Yeah, but you know what? I don't think Christopher Nolan and Tom Cruise have ever worked with each other before, so unless that happens, and even then, Tom Cruise's deal with Warner Brothers is not exclusive. That's why he can still do movies with Paramount Pictures like Mission Impossible, like the Top Gun Maverick sequel, like Days of Thunder, like a Les Grossman sequel, or like, spinoff rather. All of those movies, and he just did a movie with Alejandro Inarritu. So I think that might be a Warner Brothers film, but that Tom Cruise deal is not exclusive to Warner Brothers. It's not a I think it's like a first look or something non-exclusive. So he can still work with other studios. So Nolan could stay at Universal and make a movie with Tom Cruise if that was the case. Christopher McQuarrie. Oh, I see what you mean. Christopher McQuarrie, yes. You know what? That is true. Yeah, it makes it much more likely that he can work on a DC project because Tom Cruise is on the lot. Very true. I mean, Tom Cruise could also make a cameo in the new DCU while they're at it. Thank you, Jalen. And Jalen and Antonio, thank you for correcting me. Christopher McQuarrie could definitely work on a DC project, more likely now, especially with the new management. Clearly, he was rebuffed by the old management and did not feel good about it. So, yeah. But guys, Superman is getting released in China. They put out a new promo spot. And, on the toy front, they might have given us a bit of a spoiler. So let's talk about that. This is going to be the last thing on the schedule for today. Yes. So as Liz was hinting at earlier, unfortunately, we didn't get to that while she was still on the show. But Funko Pops have put out some more merchandise for Superman. And they might have just spoiled, like many toys over the years have done for movies, some plot details potentially. Now, this is potentially a big spoiler, so I'm just going to let you guys know right now, if you guys don't want this part of the movie to potentially be spoiled for you, again, depending on if these toys are actually giving us a spoiler or not, if it is going to make it into the movie or not, unlike, the Lex Luthor super suit that never was in Batman v Superman, this spoiler might actually be true. So if you don't want to be spoiled, look away now or mute until we get past it, but let's dive into it, shall we? So there is the Funko Pop for the Hammer of Boravia. You see the number on the top right, it says 583. That identifies the specific character. Now, usually in the way Funko Pops work, they will put the number specific to the character. Sometimes one character has multiple costumes or iterations. So they'll use the same number for that. So you'll see the same number on the battle damage Superman as well as the main Superman Funko Pop. So we see the 583 for the Hammer of Boravia. But guess what? They also put the same 583 on DC's Ultraman. Does that mean that the Hammer of Boravia is Ultraman and Ultraman is the Hammer of Boravia? Hammer of Boravia, of course, is not a comic book character. created for the movie here, especially by James Gunn. But he does have heat vision. He does seem to fly, and he's able to beat up Superman pretty good in the movie, at least from the trailers, and kind of similar to what Ultraman does. So, I mean, it would explain a lot. I wonder though if he's like, initially Ultraman and then becomes the Hammer of Boravia, or he starts out as the Hammer of Boravia and then becomes Ultraman. Is he working for Lex Luthor the whole time? It seems like they're at least confirming that this is indeed going to be Ultraman. Although, they could just be Ultraman in spirit only and not the actual, comic book equivalent of the character. It could just be they thought this was close enough to an Ultraman. We still don't know, but I mean, he seems to have the same power set as Superman. In both costumes, you don't get to see what he looks like, so there's that. Like, maybe it is David Cornsweet under the mask. Maybe he's a clone of Superman, like Frankie's saying, and we will eventually see him turn into Bizarro. There was a theory for Bizarro, like from one of the shots in the trailers, and James Gunn shot that down. But he didn't say there will be no Bizarro in the movie. He just shot down the idea that one of those shots in the trailer is Bizarro. So, but yeah, I mean, Antonio's saying Bizarro could be in Supergirl, which is very possible. And Monique, the big reveal of who's playing this character? No, the big reveal essentially is that the Hammer of Boravia and Ultraman are the same person in the movie. It's implied based on the packaging of these Funko Pops, because they have the same number, the same character number, 583, for both Ultraman and the Hammer of Boravia, which implies, kind of like I mentioned, right? Like, so there's multiple versions of Superman's Funko Pop. So like you see the one here in the image, he's looking snazzy, and then there's this one here. This is like the battle damage version of Superman. So there's two different versions of Superman that you can get, and they'll have the same number on the box. Like, in the case of the Hammer of Boravia in the bottom right, and then the Ultraman there, they both have the same number as well, which implies they're the same person. Like, whoever's behind the mask is the same person. So that's really, what we're talking about here. That's the spoiler, that we were thinking they're potentially two separate characters, but indeed, it looks like they might be the same person. Who it is, though, ultimately, who's behind the mask? Well, you may just have to ask Scooby-Doo or wait for the movie to come out. So, because that is still a mystery. We don't know who actually is behind the mask. We are kind of speculating that maybe it is David Cornsweet as well, because in the comics, Ultraman is a clone of Superman, so you would imagine it would be played by the same, actor as Superman himself. That looks like a Hawk Girl Funko Pop that they're not announcing yet, but it looks like they're keeping that one a secret. So yeah, I mean, Antonio, you're talking about like Warner Brothers' situation with money. I mean, look, it's gonna be interesting, because this movie is either gonna launch a whole new cinematic universe or kill it in the womb, And Warner Brothers Discovery is relying heavily on it coming through for them, because it's gonna hopefully establish the foundation for a prosperous Warner Brothers Discovery. Otherwise, they might be in deep trouble. The other thing here, by the way, Beast Positive saying we need to start recycling Funkos. Too many in landfills, climate change. Yeah, if you get them, then make sure you put them to good use. Don't just like toss them out. The Funko Pops do look cool, like Manuel is saying. But we do also are seeing baby what would they call it? Baby Joey right there. Metamorpho and Joey shall be mine, and shall they all, as James Gunn is saying. So the way they're showing that here, it looks like baby Joey's indeed Metamorpho's son. And that looks to be the case here. The Funko Pops, a potential spoiler. Do you guys believe that, based on the fact that the packaging for both Ultraman and Hammer of Boravia showcase the same number, 583, implying that it's the same character, do you believe that those two are the same character? They're one and the same. And if so, is it David Cornsweet under the hood, playing a clone of Superman? What does that mean about this world? Like, did Lex Luthor clone Superman? Is he from an alternate timeline? Like, are we getting a pocket dimension? How does all of that work? I want to hear from you guys in the comments, because I would love to get your theories, because then we can bring those back in on Friday and do the Q&A session. We'll talk about it. But let's see. Is there anything else to this? Oh yeah, we do have some character art as well that they revealed here. And as part of all the McFarlane toys, they did show us the baby kaiju and gave us a little bit of a description of what baby kaiju is. Now we were wondering initially in the trailer. By the way, Bane Will Break You is here. This character has 2 discs. They're really hiding his true face. Could it be Henry Cavill? Dude, Bane Will Break You. I swear to God, if it is Henry Cavill, I would stand up in the movie theater and clap, like slow clap. James Gunn is a genius. I would please do it. I would love that. He does look a little like Zoom. He does look like Zoom. Be positive a little bit. Although clearly, the packaging of the toys says Ultraman, so I guess that's what they're going for. Be positive's asking anyone going to get a Guy Gardner bowl cut for Comic-Con. I'm not gonna go to Comic-Con, so I'm not getting the bowl cut. I'm good, but if you guys want to try it, by all means, please do. Antonio's saying, I'm really mad at Warner Brothers because they have the most iconic IP and they're not taking advantage of that. They should be live action. They should do a live action Jetson movie. Hell, James Gunn could direct it. James Gunn would love to direct it, but he's busy, man. Like, he can't do that. Like, he's running a whole movie studio. I'm sure they're gonna get somebody else to direct it, but they have kicked the tires on a Jetson movie. It's just, right now the Fantastic Four movie is practically a Jetson movie, right? So that's gonna draw a comparison. So I think they're gonna probably wait a little while before they do attempt a live action Jetson film. Absolutely they could do that. But you know what? They already are taking advantage of the IP. They're doing a whole new series of Lord of the Ring movies. They're setting up a new DC cinematic universe, a DCU, which is gonna be part of the DC Studios banner, a whole new studio that they established. Between DC and Lord of the Rings, those are the 2 biggest franchises they have. Harry Potter is getting a new TV series. That's a huge DC Warner Brothers franchise. They're, I think, still working on a Matrix sequel of some kind, which I don't know if that's still alive. Not Resurrections, but another one beyond that. What other IP? They're doing a bunch of other stuff. Like they're clearly going in that direction. And then of course Final Destination just got a sequel, so there's that. That's another IP that Warner Brothers has. So they are doing it. They absolutely are doing it, and so far the results are pretty good. Enterprising saying, could Bizarro, Parasite, or Metamorpho, for all we know? Could be. Yeah, it could be. I mean, they're advertising it, him as Ultraman, but maybe that's not what it ends up being ultimately. Monique saying, if it is Henry Cavill, I will have to see the movie. I hope you see the movie regardless, Monique. We would love to go see the movie regardless of whether it's Henry Cavill behind the mask or not. Antonio saying there should be a live action Jetsons movie, Johnny Quest, Scooby-Doo with better VFX, and you could have all of those movies in the 60s. Yeah. I bet you those are in the works somewhere. You just have to find the right script, or you have to find the right story idea, and then somebody who's passionate about it. It's easier said than done, right? And I'm sure over the next 5 years, we're going to see a lot of these turn into actual projects. Right now, though, we already have the DC studios doing everything they are doing. You've got Harry Potter, you've got Lord of the Rings. Those are the big crown jewels in Warner Brothers arsenal. The rest of them they'll, I'm sure, get around to as well. No more Matrix for Frankie. I kind of liked the last movie. It wasn't the worst thing ever. Seven Manuel saying the kaiju looks almost cute. You know what though, be positive, based on how Anthony Starr talks about superheroes, I don't think he needs to be in any Marvel or DC thing, because most fans will be like, this guy doesn't believe in the premise of superheroes in the first place, and he clearly thinks he's too cool for school. So why be in an actual Marvel DC thing? Just stick to your parody, over in The Boys and commentary and satire, as it were. But he's not. He's supposedly, at least the way he talks about superheroes, he's just fine over The Boys. I don't think he need. We've talked about this before. Trust me, John would rant at you for 20 minutes if you let him about why Anthony Starr is not a good fit for Marvel or DC. Antonio's saying, I would love to see a Lost Boys TV series, then spin them off into movies. Yeah. No, you know what? Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't think it's happening anytime soon. It's not one of the big ones, but I'm sure they've kicked the rocks on it. I beg to differ. I love The Matrix. Yeah, look, The Matrix is still a huge franchise for Warner Brothers. They're gonna try to do a proper reboot or sequels for as long as they can, because as long as Keanu Reeves is around, take advantage of that. Why not? But talking about this article on screen, There are some character descriptions for these new toys that they're coming out with the McFarlane toys. Speaking of which, the description for Ultraman shows a mysterious and powerful foe working for Luthor Corp is a physical threat even to Superman. They also confirmed that he's allied with Lex Luthor rather than Rick Flag Sr. and Argus. That doesn't give too much away, of course. I guess Argus hires or contracts Lex Luthor's private army, including the Engineer and Ultraman, to arrest Superman and working with the military. So there's that. We know that from the trailers. And then in Lex Luthor's bio, it says tall, thin, and bald, and always impeccably dressed, brilliantly despicable billionaire Lex Luthor's God complex is matched only by his malicious disdain for Superman. On point, pretty much on point. I don't think that's anything new. The baby kaiju description, though, that's interesting, guys, because they say here that baby kaiju is unleashed in Metropolis, increasing in size at an advanced rate. He soon becomes a threat to the entire city. So that's interesting, because that means the baby kaiju is the one that ultimately becomes the mega kaiju in the movie. It's kind of like almost like Doomsday. He keeps growing the more he's allowed to walk around, or I guess the more his Superman fights him. So he goes from being cute to being really a huge threat and potentially doing a lot of damage to the city. So there's not like two kaijus. There's not like a big kaiju and a baby kaiju. The baby kaiju, it seems like, based on this description, becomes the big kaiju that Superman's fighting in the trailer. So there's that. Now that's something that was kind of interesting. Also, they didn't give a character description for Baby Joey, but we do have one for Metamorpho. And let's see. So they say donned only in a threadbare pair of wrestling trunks, Rex Mason, aka Metamorpho, or the Element Man, is an eerie, haunted, bald man with an ashen white face and a body that can be composed of different substances, clay, metal, and elements far more dangerous. And we know from the trailer, he actually, he has a hand that turns into kryptonite, and they're using that to keep Superman down while they interrogate him in the metahuman prison. So we know that they're gonna go in that direction. But yeah, I mean, hey, Metamorpho, we've got a description for. I think the biggest news here is, of course, the fact that where was it? Our baby kaiju is actually the same character as like the bigger kaiju. So we're not getting two kaijus. It's the same kaiju that keeps growing. I wonder how small he starts out. Maybe he's cute enough to be in the palm of somebody's hand. But clearly Superman has to fight him. More photos of the action figures themselves. You got a few different versions of look, if you take that for scale, a few different versions of Lex Luthor's face there. So the baby kaiju starts out almost like the size of a dog, and then he eventually grows into the huge monster that Superman's fighting. So yeah, I guess Lex Luthor has some way of having this thing age that fast, which is kind of insane. So very fantastical. But yeah, we saw that there was a new ad for this before. Wrestling trunks, just call it underwear. Well, there's a difference. If you're a fan of wrestling, there's a difference. Sam Emmanuel, there was two different things. Most people who wear wrestling trunks, most wrestlers who wear wrestling trunks, they have underwear on underneath the trunks. It's not the same thing. Should have been Kaiju versus Crypto. Well, Nico, I don't think we're gonna be missing that, because it seems like we're gonna get Crypto fighting with the Kaiju at some point, probably because he's gonna be helping Superman out, right? So we have I bet you he shows up eventually. Either that or he's in the Fortress of Solitude while the fight is happening in Metropolis. We'll just have to wait and find out. But the baby kaiju looks very cute. Monique saying, why does it look like that hand is flipping the bird? Wait, which hand are we talking about? He's got like 4 fingers. What are we talking about? I don't see it. Which figure are we mentioning here? I'm not sure, Monique. You tell me. Are you talking about the baby kaiju? It might be looking like that to you because he's only got 4 fingers, so maybe that's what it is. Oh, the Lex hands and with the faces. I see. Oh, well, it's not the middle finger. That's his index finger. Yeah. That's he's not really flipping anybody off there. But Yeah, it kind of. If you squint hard enough, maybe that's what it looks like. WWE wrestlers wear them with tights underneath. Yeah, yeah. Wrestling trunks aren't underwear. So it is. Is it a salamander fish? Oh, that's a good question. Maybe it's like a mutated salamander fish. I wouldn't know. I mean, this kaiju clearly can survive outside of water, so I don't know if it's a fish. Is it a fish? I guess we'll find out. I certainly don't see any bulge down there, so I don't know if it has any reproductive organs, as it were. I do like the look at Metamorpho though. Like clearly you can tell that the way he transforms, very, very organic looking. And I can't wait to see what that turns into in the movie. How many different elements we see him, kind of transform into. Baby Joey, a bit of a hard to look at, not quite the looker. Yeah, the kaiju does look like a salamander, you're right. Yes, it definitely also feels similar to the King Shark character, which is in the DCU. He's part of Creature Commandos, so King Shark does exist in this universe. But Baby Joey does exist too. Looking very Martian Manhunter-y, but clearly he's Metamorpho's son. Does remind me of Grogu, be positive. And Enterprising King Luthor creating the kaiju lines up. Yeah. I mean, we've seen Lex Luthor do crazier things with Doomsday. Not this Lex Luthor, obviously, but we have seen him do that in the comics and in the movies before. Lex and Baby Kaiju versus Superman and Crypto tag team match. Let's go. Yeah, we need that. With the hot tags and everything, Superman is down for the count almost, and then he's like crawling over, and like Crypto's got his hand out, just like, give me the hot tag, and then Superman just like jumps up and does the tag, and we're like, the referee goes like this, and then all of a sudden Crypto flies into the ring and takes down probably not Lex Luthor, because he would kill him unless he's in the battle suit. I don't know. The analogy only goes so far. Human Grogu. Yeah, that's another way of describing this. Kind of reminds me of the High Evolutionary, to be honest. Yeah, that's also true. Different color, like of skin, but yeah, true. Be Positive 99 saying, will James Gunn cameo like Stan Lee? I don't know. I mean, does he need to? Because honestly, like, it makes sense that Stan Lee would do those cameos because Stan Lee created the characters. James Gunn hasn't created Superman or any of these other characters. He's just a director and the head of the studio, so I don't know why he would cameo in there. He could cameo like a lot of directors do in their own movies. Zack Snyder did it in the Justice League movie, that did his version of it, the Snyder Cut, and he's not the only one. Quentin Tarantino is almost in every single one of his movies. We have seen a lot of other directors do the same, so I wouldn't be surprised, but it's definitely not necessary. Seven Manuel saying, isn't Superboy a clone of Superman and Lex Luthor? Yeah, depending on the iteration. Definitely. I mean, and they are working on a Teen Titans movie, which might have Superboy in it, but yeah, I mean, in the comics, that's definitely true. Who is the DC Stan Lee? Jim Lee? No, not really Jim Lee, Frankie. It's because Jim Lee, again, didn't create these characters. This is the thing. DC and Marvel don't quite have a fair comparison there, because, I mean, Stan Lee didn't create every character either for Marvel, but he did play a big part in a lot of the big ones, especially, I mean, and most of them he had some part to play in. With DC, it's a little more scattered. Obviously, you have the creators of, Superman, including Joel Shuster, who, of course, his estate is suing Superman right now. Batman, of course, you have Bob Kane, and I'm forgetting the name of the other gentleman. There's two names. I should remember the other person's name as well. But yeah, I don't know if there's one person like a Stan Lee that you can kind of bring in for every DC movie. It's probably just better if you just go with the director cameos, if anything, because there'll be more of a consistent pattern to those. Yeah, Gardner Fox. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. He's designed all the suits. Okay. Well, I mean, maybe that's possible. I mean, you also have to be up for it, and you have to look. They did Stan Lee cameos because Stan Lee, everybody knows Stan Lee, right? Like, I don't think Gardner Fox is like somebody who most people will know who he is or why he is there for a cameo. So that's the other thing you got to remember. Like, they did Stan Lee cameos because everybody knew Stan Lee. Stan Lee was a very public figure. He obviously was like happy to do all of those, cameos, and he enjoyed doing them. So I don't see DC needing to do that. It's not a requirement. They've not done that in the past. I don't think they need to do that here. Every once in a while, a fun cameo here and there would be nice, but I don't think they either have somebody who can be their Stan Lee, and therefore they don't need to force it. Maybe a James Gunn cameo would be fine. Yeah, exactly, Sam Emmanuel. There is not another Stan Lee. Stan Lee was a singular figure. Like what he did is so unique because it is like there's only one Stan Lee. So, and rest his soul because he's no longer with us. But DC is still doing great. And as is Marvel, of course. I mean, depending on where you are on the spectrum of how good Marvel is doing or not right now. But as far as DC goes, the Funko Pops are nice. And we probably know now that Ultraman and Hammer Boravia are one and the same, is it a spoiler? Does it tell us something about the timeline of events in the movie? If you go back and watch the trailer now, does it tell you whether he is the Hammer Boravia first and Ultraman later, or the other way around? Or does he go back and forth? Is he working with Superman, but then why is he the Hammer Boravia? Is he from Boravia? Because the Hammer Boravia implies he's like the homegrown superhero of the country. So why is he working for Lex Luthor? It's like all of those questions I'm sure will get answered. I will ask that of John. I want you guys to tell me what you think. Do you believe that these are the same character? Like these two, Ultraman and Hammer Boravia? And if so, how do you think that will figure into the story of the movie? Is he sort of going back and forth between the two characters? Or is he starting out as one and then transitioning to the other one? And do we get to see his face? For all we know, we're not gonna get to see the face at all in the movie. Like that might be something that happens in Superman 2. We might not have that mystery be solved in the movie, But if it is, then is it gonna be Henry Cavill under the mask? Is it gonna be a David Cornsweet playing his own clone, which would be the comic book way of doing it? Be Positive saying Will Reeves is kind of the cameo in Superman, same as his dad was in Smallville. Yeah, that's your big heritage cameo. And they can do something completely different for the other movies, right? Like they could have the creator of a character cameo in their project, but they don't have to make that, because again, there's no Stan Lee equivalent. But Will Reeves is a good cameo. We've got Hylian Dread in the chat. How are you doing, man? I don't think I've seen you in the chat before, or if you were here before, I might have forgotten, but hello to you. You're saying in the chat, the Hammer of Boravia, if it is Ultraman, that is how Lex gets people to hate Superman. Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, Lex kind of like, pulling the strings, like a puppet master, kind of like what we saw in Batman v Superman, except obviously a very different take on the character. But yeah, it would make sense that if Lex Luthor is pulling the strings and using the Hammer of Boravia, and I guess his alter ego Ultraman, which nobody can tell it's the same person because nobody can tell who's under the mask. So maybe that's how he ends up working for Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor allows him or helps him get free passage into the US, because it seems like in the movie US will be at odds with this other country, Boravia, this fictional country. So if the two countries are not in good terms, maybe the homegrown superhero Boravia might not be allowed to show up in Metropolis unless he's doing it under the shroud of the Ultraman costume. That could be a good theory. Sam Emmanuel saying they're about to kill Luthor, and he's like, "You sure you don't want to do that?" Yeah. Yep. Luthor probably knows more about Superman than Superman does, but when this movie comes out, right? The psychology of Superman, which I'm sure David Cornsweet's character is going to be struggling with and discovering. But let us know in the comments down below. Like, are you guys excited for Superman to be releasing in China? What do you think the runtime is going to be? James Gunn has said it's not going to be 2 hours, 2 minutes. The 122-minute theory is out the water. And then, of course, the merchandise spoilers. Do you think the Funko Pops have revealed and confirmed that indeed Ultraman and Hammer Boravia are the same person? And if they are, then are we going to get to see who is under the mask? Is it going to be David Cornsweet? Or is it going to be somebody else? Maybe even a Henry Cavill? Like, let us know in the comments down below. Of course, we know James Gunn and DC Studios will be at San Diego Comic-Con. So far, we know they're only going to be there for Peacemaker, but James Gunn will do a Q&A and address everything else DC related. But is it going to be a big Hall H panel? Are we going to get some looks at Lantern, Supergirl? Let us know in the comments down below. I saw a bunch of you guys were going back and watching the videos from this week and leaving up a lot of comments. So I pulled a few of them for Friday's Q&A session. And if you get any on today's show, I'll pull those as well. And of course, do you believe the Superman test screenings reports? The only screening report that I believe is the fundraiser they're doing to help the underprivileged children go attend the screening. Please do go donate to that on GoFundMe, and I'm sure James Gunn will get involved eventually as well. But in the meantime, here's the schedule for the rest of the week. We got Bridget on tomorrow and Friday. I'm gonna be back with you guys the next couple of days. John is on a mission. He'll be back next week, and Liz is on a flight across the country, so she'll be back on Tuesday. But I will be here with you, and Bridget will be here tomorrow and on Friday. We'll do a Q&A session on Friday, so do definitely send in your comments. If you are new, hit subscribe because we're doing DCU Daily Monday through Friday. And if you do subscribe, then hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Hit the like button on the way out, guys. We do appreciate that. Always, always, always. That is a big one. That's your big one you can do for the channel, so that way we can bring more new people into the show. It's a clone of Superman with light eyebrows, says Nico. Yeah, I mean, could be that could be Ultraman. That could be the Hammer of Boravia. I'm sure we'll find out. That might be a secret they'll keep till the movie comes out, or maybe it gets leaked. We'll see. But in the meantime, guys, I hope that you enjoyed the show. Liz was here earlier, so if you joined in late, be sure to rewind, be kind and rewind, and enjoy the rest of the show. We'll see you tomorrow on another episode of DCU Daily.